All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the September 9th, 2025 meeting of the Board of Education of Charles County. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right. All right, welcome again. Okay, give me 1 second, my computer is frozen. Oh boy. Is yours up, Dr. Navarro? Pick up your permission statement, please. It's not taking me to anything. Oh boy. Technology works until it doesn't. Oh, we're back. Okay. All right, yes. All right, as I always do, I like to take the time to read our mission statement. The mission of Charles County Public Schools is to provide an opportunity for all school-aged children to receive an academically challenging, quality education that builds character, equips for leadership, and prepares for life in an environment that is safe and conducive to learning. All right. Next up, Dr. Navarro with our superintendent's update.
Good afternoon, Chairperson Morley, Vice
afternoon.
Chairperson Kramer, the board, staff, and as you say, Ms. Morley, the millions watching us
We have
today.
doubled our audience. Thank
And
you.
also in person. The 2025-26 school year is well underway with students returning to school on August 25th and our pre-kindergarten students beginning the school last week. Current student enrollment data indicates that we continue to support more than 27,000 students daily. I want to remind our families of the resources available on our school system website. In case you don't know, our website is www.ccboe.com. The free and reduced meals application is posted under quick links, as are the schedules for ongoing open house events at our schools. Please take a few minutes to visit our website for the most up-to-date information about the school system. Today's board meeting agenda features several important presentations, but there is one that I want to highlight. Mr. Kevin Lowndes, our Chief of Teaching and Learning, will be joined by instructional staff and Steve Roberts, our Director of Accountability, to provide an update on student performance on the State Maryland Comprehensive Assessment Program, known as MCAP, from last school year. I'm very happy to share that we've seen increased scores across grades 3 through 8, as well as in the number of students taking the assessment in Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and Geometry in comparison to last year. These increases include a higher number of students who are assessing at or above grade level in English Language Arts, Mathematics, Social Studies, and Science. This improvement is a direct result of monitoring student performance and the incredible work of our teachers who use data-driven approaches and resources to support each student's learning. So thank you to them. We saw the highest gains in proficiency in ELA among students in 3rd grade, 7th grade, and English 2. Our biggest gains in math were among students in 3rd grade, 5th grade, and 7th grade, and Algebra 2. And I know the team's looking at me like, stop it, because that's what we're going to do in a few minutes.
Spoiler alert.
Yes, but it's much better with their charts and when they say it. While we fall a bit short behind state averages, I do want to note that in many ways, Charles County is growing at a faster rate than the state, and that is important. And we're moving in an upward bound direction towards more students demonstrating proficiency. Moving into the new school year, we will continue to track and monitor student progress and provide resources to help all students move towards proficiency. Mr. Lowndes will also be presenting data related to the enrollment and the achievement in advanced placement courses. And I will tell you, I will not read the rest of my statement so you can see the charts and see the incredible work that, once again, this is the compilation of our teachers and school leaders making sure that every student that can take these classes does so and meets with success. So I just want to say again, thank you, because this is the collective work of staff. I'm proud of the work our teachers and staff are doing to ensure that every single student is learning and achieving, and I encourage all of our viewers to stay tuned and follow the presentation. Additionally, on Thursday, October 16th, I am hosting a virtual State of the Schools event on Zoom at 7 p.m. Please mark your calendars to join me for this event, during which I will share updates about the Charles County Public Schools Strategic Plan. This new plan will guide the work of the school system from now and through 2029 and features 4 main focal areas: student achievement and ensuring students are college and career ready, supporting safe and inclusive learning environments, employee recruitment and retention, and strengthening family and community engagement. I will also provide time for participants to ask questions and provide feedback. A webpage dedicated to the new strategic plan is underway at ccboe.com. Before I close, I want to give a special shout out to our high school girls flag football teams.
Yes.
Our inaugural season officially kicked off last week with special guests from the Baltimore Ravens joining us for games at both Henry E. Lackey and Westlake High Schools. I am proud to share that we have more than 165 talented young women from across our 7 high schools participating in the season this fall. Stay tuned to our YouTube page and social media for feature video of the kickoff of the season. Thank you to the Ravens organization and to our local elected officials, Ms. Thomas, and community partners who supported this additional opportunity for our student athletes. Thank you for your continued support of our public schools.
All right, that is fantastic. I know several of us had the pleasure of seeing the girls' flag football. It was wonderful. More on that to come. Thank you, Dr. Navarro. Next up, Mr. Heil with the EACC update. Welcome, sir.
Chairperson Moore Lee, Vice
Good
Chair
afternoon.
Kramer, Superintendent Dr. Navarro, my Board of Education, CCPS leadership, distinguished guests, and the general public. I'd like to start by expressing my appreciation to everyone who helped and supported the 3rd annual baseball bash at Blue Crab Stadium.
Yes.
This welcome back event continues to be a fantastic way for the entire CCPS family to come together for a social gathering as the new school year begins. Special shout out goes to EACC, AFSCME, and CCPS for their universal support of this great event. Today I'm here to address the most pressing issue that I've been hearing about from my members over the last month: workload. This topic has been brought up more than any other. I spoke to this body about reaching a breaking point last month, and our educators across the system remain on the verge of it. I want to be very specific about what is expected of all staff across the county. I will address the administrative workload next month. In many jobs outside of education, employees might have the luxury of easing into their day. However, this is not the case in education. From hall duty to bus duty, there are responsibilities that must be performed immediately upon arriving at the building. Don't forget to sign in, which often involves a line that also slows you down. If you're showing up early, it's most likely because you didn't manage to complete all of your responsibilities within the duty day and are trying to catch up. You might continue preparing for your classes, grading students' assignments, or preparing for a parent meeting. These parent meetings usually occur at the beginning or the end of a day. If a meeting is scheduled at the start of the day, you find yourself trying to communicate everything you need to say while keeping one eye on the clock, wondering if you need to ask administration for coverage to finish the conversation. Students often trickle into class early, and as soon as the bell rings, every minute of class time is dedicated to being in front of them. When class begins, you actively engage all students with rigor, paying close attention to those who need individual support. In an elementary classroom, this often involves redirecting students, organizing them into groups, and rotating both students and content. You know that kids will be kids, but you don't have the time to manage behavior issues as they distract from the content. In secondary classrooms, you may encounter fights, student cutting classes, or phones being used for chatting and cheating. You address these issues, and just when you're excited to answer a student's question or hear their insight, a hand goes up with a request to go to the bathroom. Now you must halt everything to write a pass. It could be 3 hours before you take a break yourself unless a nearby teacher agrees to cover your class while you step out. The bathroom break becomes its own pressure because you need to return to class before the class starts, or both classes will be delayed. When you finally make it to your planning period, you face another set of decisions. Should you continue planning next week's lessons, grade the 100 papers waiting for your attention, prepare makeup work for absent students, or research a lesson for the following week? This is also the time to make your 2 parent calls you need to complete, one from yesterday and one from this morning. One of the calls is short and only takes 3 minutes, while the other has several questions and takes around 10 minutes. Everything is on a clock. You've just used up 15 minutes of your 45-minute planning time. Assuming all goes well, you won't need to write a referral, but you're left with only 30 minutes. Did you check your mailbox this morning? You need to do that again in case there's something important that could affect your day. A quick trip to the office takes a minute down and a minute back, provided you don't stop to chat. That leaves you with 28 minutes. You have 100 papers to grade, lesson plans to finalize, copies to make, parent communications to send, and makeup work to prepare. Which task will you prioritize today? The kids are released from lunch early to alleviate hall traffic, so they arrive at your room 2 minutes before the bell. You need to remember to call parents at the beginning of your planning period, as you don't want to be on the phone with parents when students come in. You put your game face back on for your 4th class of the day. A couple of students linger with questions about the assignment and upcoming events. They stay past the bell, aware that you won't write them a note for being late, and they've taken 2 minutes out of your 30-minute, or rather 28-minute lunch. Today you brought a frozen lunch. It'll take 7 minutes to heat, leaving you with just 21 minutes to eat. You finish your last 2 classes and exhaustion sets in, not just from teaching, walk around the classroom, answering questions, presenting content, and considering the diverse abilities of your students and how to engage them and showing what they're learning, but also from interacting with 50, 60, 100 different people throughout the day. Each interaction has its own set of needs, and as a trained educator, you know the variety of ways to address those needs. Yet all of this takes energy. Your official workday ends with an afternoon duty. You wanted to check if your third period understood the lesson from today, so you take a moment to spot check some of their papers. Just then, another student comes into your classroom with questions about the content. You grade papers, plan for future lessons, research lesson ideas. Your workday is technically over, and your own family will be home soon. Now, on top of everything, we're adding collaborative planning being introduced. While many in education will agree that collaborative planning is beneficial, not all schedules allow for it equally. Where does that time come from collaborative planning fit into a day when educators are already overwhelmed by their daily demands? Schools operating on a block schedule have this time more readily accessible, but what about those with different systems? It falls on the administration to construct a schedule that may not be as accommodating. Additionally, there's another expectation that may seem minor but adds to the workload, allowing students to retake tests. As an educator, you must keep track of all the makeup work from absent students in general. You need to schedule time for regular makeup tests in some cases and create different tests to ensure students don't have access to prior questions. Now you're also required to find the time to reteach students who struggled on specific tests and retest them. Should you use the same test or create a new one? This sounds reasonable for one student, but you teach 100 students across several classes, and 4 of them did poorly on the last test. Where does that time come from for that additional plan? Ultimately, what is being asked of educators is unsustainable. Responsibilities continue to grow without reducing existing demands. We need to take a step back and examine what can be removed from teachers' plates. While many of the additional responsibilities may seem justified, it doesn't mean that they should be added. Educators will always prioritize 2 things, time and compensation. Today I ask, what are you doing as a body to provide educators with the time they need to perform their jobs most effectively? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hahn. Thank you. All right, next up, we have our report from AFSCME. I do not see Ms. Gertrude Lawson, so Ms. Stephanie Lawson, the Vice President. Welcome, ma'am.
Hi. Good afternoon,
Hi.
everyone.
Good afternoon.
Hi. Sorry. My name is Stephanie Lawson, and I am the Vice President of AFSCME Local 2981, representing all support staff. I'd like to share a few announcements with you all. First, Gertie is unable to join us today as she is attending a leadership conference along with 2 other members of our union executive board. If you are interested in becoming a steward for our union, please feel free to reach out to myself, Tracy, or Gertie via email. For those of you who are already serving as stewards, Local 2981 will be hosting a refresher class later this month to review key responsibilities and procedures. More information will be sent out soon. We held our first union meeting of the school year last Wednesday, and it was great to reconnect with everyone. As a reminder, our meetings are held on the first Wednesday of every month at 5:30 at FB Gwynn Center. And if you are unable to attend in person, you are welcome to join us virtually via Zoom. Lastly, the Executive Board would like to thank everyone who came out to the baseball bash on Friday at the Blue Crab Stadium. We had over 300 staff members and their families in attendance.
Nice.
It was a fantastic turnout. It was wonderful to see so many of you enjoying the time with your colleagues, friends and family, along with great food and a fun game. A special shout out to Reggie Cornish, the FNS manager at Mattawoman, who proudly threw out one of the first pitches to kick off the evening. Let's continue to work together and achieve our goals. Thank you for your time and continued support.
Thank you, Ms. Austin. Yes, our very own board member, Samisha Thomas, also threw out. Well, attempted to throw. You did much better than I could have, so kudos to you. Yes. All right, next up, Mr. Lowndes. The long-awaited MCAP AP update. All right, I know you have some friends. Mr. Steve Roberts, the Director of Accountability. Ms. Kim Hudler, Elementary Reading Content Specialist, and Ms. Sheila Hettel, if I'm saying it correctly, Middle School Math Content Specialist. Welcome.
Hello, Chairperson Marley,
Good afternoon.
Vice Chairperson Kramer, board members, great to see everyone. Happy school year.
Happy school year.
We're here today, as Dr. Navarro has mentioned, to present our data from last school year for the state testing. And we have improved, but we still are working hard because we realize that we still have a long way to go to get all of our students where they need to be. But I do want to give you an update on a few things as far as the state standards. So this will be the last year that we're testing on the current standards. Next year, the state standards will be changing. For kindergarten through 12th grade for our reading standards, or ELA standards, and K through 8th grade for our math standards. The reading is a little more of a tweak to the standards, whereas the math is more of an adjustment to the standards. And we'll come back later in the school year to provide the board an update, because the ELA standards will require us to standards and the new board policies to retain students. And we are starting a committee to look at when to retain our students. Either it has to be done before 3rd grade, and so it's really looking at when to do that. So I'll bring that back after we meet with the committee. The other thing, the math is a little bit more of a major adjustment because they are consolidating Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2 into 2 courses. And so we'll bring you back a little bit of an update at that point during the school year to show how we're going to have to adjust some of our elementary and our middle school to meet the requirements from the state, which is also requiring us to do 60 minutes of math daily, which will require us to make an adjustment to our schedules.
Yeah. Do we have a quick clarifying question?
Could you repeat what you said about is combining algebra?
Algebra 1,
Algebra 1,
Geometry, and
Geometry, and
Algebra 2
Algebra 2
will be
will be combined into 2 courses. So instead of
Okay.
offering it over 3 years, where each one's an individual course, it's going to be a combination courses, 2 combination courses.
Who thought that was a good idea?
Thank you.
Yep.
Sorry to interrupt.
No worries.
But at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Steve. I just wanted to give you a heads up on where we're going in the future to present the data for the for last year. And like Dr. Navarro said, we've improved. We're excited about improving, and we can hope we will continue to improve with a focus on foundational reading skills. And our teachers, when we go out and we see what's going on in the classroom, we're impressed with the quality of teaching that's taking place within our Charles County Public Schools. And we also have noticed that the focus on standards align teaching and the writing standard too over the last couple of years has improved and helped us improve within our state scores as well. Steve, do you want to?
Thank you, sir.
It's the bottom one.
All right.
Keep going.
So just to first start, this is just what the MCAP umbrella encompasses. So this is all the different tests, just for your reference, so you'd have it. And we're going to talk about the ELA tests, math tests, and we're also going to talk about science for the 2 different assessments that are given for that. So to start off here, this is a look at, we're starting with mathematics. So this is grades 3 through 5, and what we've highlighted here is from 2022 school year, spring of 22, all the way to spring of 2025, where the top, the orange section, is the percent that are proficient. So there are 4 different levels for each assessment that a student can earn. They can be distinguished, proficient, developing, or beginning. So in order to be in that orange, you have to be a 3 or a 4, because each score is a 1, 2, 3, or 4, so they have to be proficient or distinguished. So you can see the growth that we've made from 24 to 25, from 3rd grade, 4th grade, same thing, the growth, and then at 5th grade, that growth. So we're looking at where we were the previous year, and what we want to see is all orange, obviously, but we've definitely made some growth. We've made some gains here, which is really exciting. So this is the elementary level for math. Then we move on to the middle or secondary level, essentially, because we have 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And then I think Sheila will talk a little bit later about how the math breaks down a little bit differently. You can see, again, growth across the board here. That 2025, that's new for us for the 8th graders that are taking geometry, because part of the federal requirements is that a student must take a high school mathematics assessment. So in previous years, of course, we had students that were taking Algebra 1. We would have students taking Algebra 2, students taking geometry. So previous year, students that took geometry in 8th grade, they took the 8th grade assessment. This year, we actually assessed them in the geometry test, and you can see how well our students really did for that test. So we've kind of minimized the number of students that are taking 8th grade math, because we've increased the number of students who are taking Algebra 1 and geometry at the middle school level, which has kind of changed how it looks, but the impact is that these students are achieving, the ones that are taking these Algebra 1 and these geometry tests. So Sheila will give you some breakdowns for those numbers here shortly too. And for that Algebra 2, for the most part, they're all students in high school, because they took Algebra 1 at the middle school level and have to take that other assessment at the high school level, that federal requirement. So those are the students that are taking that Algebra 2 test in the high school level. But again, we're seeing, as Dr. Navarro mentioned earlier, we're seeing gains, that 7th grade gains, you see at 10.2 to 13.8. It's a big jump there. So we're not where we want to be, of course, but we've definitely made some gains, which is really exciting. So what we also have seen is the difference between, in our strategic plan, you can see that one of the focuses was where our 5th grade students were in terms of achieving on the math assessment. So we've compared here CCPS math to Maryland math, and you can see the trend that we're seeing for CCPS and where we are for Maryland as well. And then we're also going to show you 3rd grade for English language arts, because that's part of our current strategic plan as well.
I just want to make sure everyone understands the 8th grade. So unlike the ELA, once you get past English 8, or once you get into Algebra 1, you start talking about courses rather than grade level. Unlike ELA, where they take the grade level all the way up through 8th grade. And so because the state or federal requirement is that you have to have a test within the high school, if someone was in middle school and they took Algebra 1 or geometry, or Algebra 1 and geometry, they would take, when they get to high school, the Algebra 2 exam. And that's why you see, the Algebra 2 up there as a high school exam, but it's for our accelerated students that took Algebra 1 and geometry in the middle school.
So here we'll move on to ELA. So again, 22 through 25, orange showing those who scored a 3 or a 4, proficient on the MCAP exam. Again, seeing growth across here from 24 to 25, 24 to 25, 24 to 25 for each of those grades. And then we move to our secondary level, and as Mr. Lowndes had just said, they follow that grade all the way through. There's not a 9th grade ELA assessment. It jumps to the 10th grade high school assessment for ELA. And you can see the growth that we made in that 10th grade group, which is big jump, so really exciting. And then this is the third grade group. Again, what the strategic plan had a focus on, looking at where the third grade students were in comparison to the state. And then we move on to science. There's actually 3 different assessments, but the high school assessments are not publicly available. Only the 5th and 8th grade science are available. So we see growth there as well. So it's pretty exciting stuff. And then we did a breakdown for all the different subgroups, which incorporated in this is both, excuse me, math and English. And you can see across the growth from 24 to 25 for almost every subgroup that we have here. We've seen growth in both math and English language arts. So the movement is pretty exciting. I'll pass it on to Kim.
Good afternoon.
Good
We
afternoon.
have a lot of exciting things happening in elementary school these days.
All right.
Really excited about this new year. One of our big things this year is we have collaborated with the Office of Accountability to create something called an MTSS system through Synergy, which really means we're able to track what interventions all of our students are in reading and math, how well they're doing in these interventions, and then reporting to parents. Because it's not a new thing with the Ready to Read Act that we have to report to parents, but we wanted to make it concise with the reading and the math, reporting the same way. So that's a really big, exciting thing that we're having to do this year with reporting to the state how many students are in our Tier 2 interventions, which means they need a little extra support, and our Tier 3 interventions, which means they need a lot of extra support. And that's how we're going to be able to track it and report it to the state. Communicating with parents quarterly through letters, and then next year we'll be doing it through Synergy. We wanted to get out all of the kinks this year, and then next year it will be an expectation. We are going to continue, as you saw, and you didn't see the breakdown, but writing is still a need. We still need to focus on writing K to 5, and well, K to whenever, right? And so we're really focusing on writing again this year. I sent out at the end of last year a survey to teachers. What professional learning do you want over the summer? And landslide writing. So I did 2 professional learnings, one for primary and one for intermediate. And it was so exciting last week as I was doing my school visits. 2 teachers came up to me to show me things that they had gotten from the professional learning with student work. So they're taking it, they're running with it. We're talking about writing fluency. We need kids to be able to write fluency, to be able to write fluently, so they can have the stamina during the tests, so they can understand. We need them to be able to respond to text. We also just need them to write because they love to write. We're increasing our focus this year. We've always done small group instruction, but we're tweaking it a little bit this year in reading and math actually did it last year, is we're really focusing on those students that are coming up red in phonics and phonological awareness and iReady, and then comprehension. So we are tailoring our interventions to that time. So it's those kids that really need it are getting that supplemental instruction in phonological awareness, phonics, and comprehension. And then we're going to continue, as we have been, in training in the science of reading, using the SUNY and the AIM course that has been through MSDE. I like your nod. Thank you, Ms. Dallas. And OGAP for math. So we're going to continue to build our teacher strategies, their toolbox, their knowledge through all of those professional learnings, as well as our PLT and our school-based and district-wide professional learning.
So let me just talk a little bit about the MTSS, which is multi-tiered student support. So it's what happens when our students aren't at grade level and they need extra help and extra support. And so it's what we've done and Kim's done with her team is they've looked at, okay, when you look at the iReady score and you drill down because they're not at grade level and they're not where they should be with their phonics, then what type of help and supports do we offer? And so then we've identified for the schools the supports that the students should be getting if they're in their weak area. And so the idea is that, this is always taking place, if students aren't achieving at grade level, what are you going to do next? By being able to put it into Synergy, it helps us and helps the principal and the teachers track it at a different level. In the past, we've always tracked it at the intervention level. So the person who's actually given the intervention was filling out a spreadsheet and they were tracking it at that level. But it was difficult for the administration or the central office to look and see, okay, here's a student that's struggling, are they getting the help? And then what help are they getting it? Now we'll be able to look at Synergy and be able to track it, and the teachers will be able to look at it from grade level to grade level to see whether a student got intervention the year before and was it effective or not. Because the other thing that we're going to be doing is looking at those interventions quarterly and saying, has the student made progress? Should they continue in the intervention, or should they change and go to a different intervention? Or have they made enough progress where they don't need an intervention? And so that will be able to be done, and it will be able to be put into Synergy, and then everyone will be able to see that. And so a teacher that gets a student 2 grade levels above that thinks the student, sees a student that's struggling can look back and say, oh, this student in 2nd grade, now they're in 4th grade, actually had interventions, and this is what it was, and this is where it was successful or not successful. The other thing is that it does allow us as a system, one of the requirements from the state with the new reading is that we will have to share for every student that will be retained because they're not at grade level, what we've done from their early grades on to show that we've worked and supported these students to help them get to grade level. And so this will help us keep track of that data as well.
Now I'm going to turn it over to Sheila.
Can I say one quick
Yep.
thing about that? Kim, can you talk very briefly about, we brought to the board the iReady data at the end of the year, but you mentioned writing. Can you talk a little bit more about why we emphasize writing, because it's not assessed in iReady, and it is on the state assessment?
Sure, and that is really why it's not assessed in iReady, but we know how important it is of a skill to be able to write. And we saw some deficits in our MCAP testing. So we really chose that informational writing to focus on, because that could be done across content. You can write in social studies, you can write in math, you can write. So we really focused on that to help with that fluency, the stamina, and being able to write a cohesive paper or paragraph or sentence, depending on the grade level.
And I also want to, give Steve's office credit here too, because they are the ones, we did a correlation between the different colors, yellow, dark green, and green, to see on the iReady, to see how well our iReady scores matched how well the kids did on the MCAP. And one of the areas that we did see was when a student did on the student that scored a dark green on the iReady but didn't meet grade level proficiency on the MCAP, and you dug deeper into the reason why they didn't do it on the MCAP, it was the writing. And so it is a gap within iReady, the writing. And so that's another reason why I know Kim's doing an emphasis, is because she has gotten together with Office of Shared Accountability to look at why is it some of our students are still scoring very high on the iReady, but they're not doing as well on the MCAP.
And schools have really taken and run with it. They have done a lot of things to promote writing in each classroom, in each school. Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So in secondary land, we also are looking at that MTSS process. That's also where those kids that are accelerated in math, we track them that way as well. Those are the kids in Algebra 1 and Geometry in middle school. They're just they're the other half of the diamond. They're performing above grade level. So those students, to meet their needs, they take Algebra 1 in 8th grade or in 7th grade, and then they take Geometry in 8th grade. They take it in one of our middle schools, or they go to the high school to take it. So that's where they fit in as well in the multi-tiered system of support. So our focus this year is collaborative planning. In collaborative planning, we're helping teachers use the data to make instructional decisions. And that pairs with, in math, our lab classes. So when we look at it and we look at our data, what skills do we need to pre-teach in our lab class before we start the units in using illustrative math? So those students are ready to access grade level standards. So we use that time to look at data. And then when we're not looking at data, we're looking at lesson plans. We're talking about strategies. What are the best strategies we can use so that all students can access the grade level standards? And we're working with our resource teachers to facilitate those conversations, to say, okay, this is one of the activities we have, but this is an activity we're going to choose instead because it best meets the rigor of the standards. So we are helping them facilitate those collaborative planning sessions at their schools.
So at this time, do you have any questions on the MCAP before we go to the advanced placement test?
All right, any questions so far? Ms. Brenda Thomas?
Yes, when you, I might be out of place on this one. When you're talking about writing, what grades are you talking from? The
Pre-K all the way up to 12th
12th
grade.
grade? Okay, and then, my question is, where do the cursor come in? Do we do cursor writing or we're not doing it?
We actually do. It's part of our, it's introduced in 2nd grade as part of the core curriculum. And that is one of the, which is a great thing. But that's also coming down from MSDE, is saying that all districts have to teach, have to teach cursive writing. So it starts in 2nd grade.
Oh, thank you. That was
You're
one of
welcome.
them.
I know there are a
Thank
lot
you.
of parents happy to hear that. Okay, Ms. Tamisha Thomas and Ms. Jamila Smith?
I have some more questions I'll hold to the end of the presentation, but I did have one question. I think you mentioned the receptiveness to teachers using kind of the data to drive their instructional decisions. I applaud that because I think teachers need some autonomy in tailoring the educational standards for their students. Every year you get a different set of students and maybe they need something different, you know? So I really do applaud giving some teachers some autonomy and then giving them tools to be able to still meet the standards, but, you know, do what works best for their kids at the time. But do you see that teachers are able to do that or receptive, or do you see that there's some challenges with them being able to do that?
So in middle school math, we signed on with an initiative from actually the governor and MSDE, which is Assessments, and it's a digital platform where the students go in and they do the cool down or the practice problems, whatever the evidence of learning the teacher picked that day, and then they can get that information right away, whether the student, right, real time. So we're seeing that lift off, and they're really using that because it's taking the burden of grading off of them. So we are seeing that tool utilized, and in the collaborative planning, we're not only giving the cool down, but then we're talking about it. We're talking about it collectively and saying these are the trends we're seeing as a grade level, not just in Ms. Heddle's class, but you know, in Ms. Heller's class as well. So how are we going to address this as a grade level and pulling together the best strategies that we can? So I do think we're good at giving it. We're getting better at, I should say, what do we do with it now? What do we use that data, and how does that change our instruction the next day? Not next week, but tomorrow. What can we do to act on it?
And the other thing I want to note really quick is the writing skills. I'm a lady of a certain age, and I remember writing was it. Like, you had to do writing.
Yeah.
Like, by the time I was in 5th grade, I was writing 5 paragraphs.
Right.
Because you had, like, that was the blueprint for writing.
Right.
And I know that there's kind of a cliff where kids drop off when they get to college, because college is writing. And even professional skills, business writing. Like, I've
Sure.
received an email from a young person in the work environment, and I'm like, this is not a text. Do not send me a
Right.
text.
You have to
And
correct.
so just, I really do applaud the writing skills, because that is a defining ability to have professional skills and navigate, as well as be able to have more success in college, or not struggle as much when you get there. So I do applaud those writing skills in all kind of contexts. So thank you.
Absolutely. Ms. Jamila Smith?
So I wanted to go back to one of the comments Mr. Lowndes made around MTSS, and mentioning specifically being able to work and track interventions for students in terms of getting them on grade level, you know, in hopes above grade level, but at least on grade level. I'm curious, or not even curious, I would recommend that in our thinking about those interventions and supports, that we include parents and thinking about, I loved hearing how we're thinking about training teachers around broadening their toolboxes and helping giving them the proper strategies and resources. So that's absolutely our target group. But thinking about how we can incorporate parents in that as well. So they're thinking about like, what are the tools or strategies that I should employ as my child is getting additional supports in school? What should I be doing at home? Like, and I think I've said this several times. It goes beyond just saying, go sit down and read a book.
Right.
Which is the parents' go-to. It's my go-to. Just sit down and read the book and you should be fine. But it's thinking about like, how do we engage in like vocabulary? Should we be making flashcards or is that outdated? You know, how are we engaging in all of the platforms that like CCPS has purchased for students to use? Should parents be kind of engaging and thinking about Clever and all the other kind of platforms that we have at our disposal? But just wanting to ensure that we're always thinking about parents as that additional group that we should be pouring into and helping them understand how best to support students so they can show up to school ready and moving in the right direction.
That's a
Absolutely.
great idea. I mean, because one thing we are trying to do to reduce some of the teacher workload is come up with some of these letters would be generated through Synergy when a student's below grade level. Because one of the requirements is to let parents know your child is below grade level in reading and therefore they're in this intervention and give them the intervention. But something to add to the letter would be, and here's some things that you can do at home to support your child.
Absolutely.
That's a great idea.
A secondary follow-up question. When you say behind in reading, are we breaking it down in terms of what component of reading? Is it the phonological awareness? Is it phoneme? Like, what exactly
I'm
is
going to
it?
let Kim go because she.
Yes.
Okay.
We do talk about where they'll get the iReady report, but they will also get, if they are not reaching benchmark, where they're behind, whether it's phonological awareness, phonics, and then what we're doing for them. What intervention they're going to be in, and what supplemental things we're doing for them. And then now we're going to add in, what can you do at home?
Exactly, parent component. Love
right.
that. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I got really loud all of a sudden.
I was definitely on track with that because I was talking about having parent cafes and things like that so you can help those parents who need a little more assistance of understanding what it even looks like, what the curriculum is about. And then also when you were talking about quarterly, so is there another way that we can kind of catch those students who may be struggling a little bit before that quarterly mark?
So
I'm not
we're
sure.
reporting quarterly, but we're catching them right at the beginning of iReady, and we're working with them right at the start.
Okay.
So we're progress monitoring every couple of weeks,
Okay.
but then we're reporting quarterly.
Okay, that's the connection where the parents are concerned, just joining them in as they go, not
Absolutely.
waiting to the last minute, and then the next thing they looking like, well, nobody told me. So,
Sure.
Thank
And
you
it's
so
within
much.
30 days of the assessment that they have to get the letter.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Right. Do you have anything, Mr. Hancock? We're making our way. Okay, Madam Vice Chair, do you have
Thank
anything?
you, Madam Chair. I love all of this. The data is great. It's really helpful to see that we are making progress. Obviously, still, gains to make, but I think it's just important to emphasize, and it bears repeating, that this assessment is just a small piece of the puzzle, right? And especially how you describe, Mr. Roberts and Mr. Lowndes, about what iReady measures versus what MCAP measures, and there's some gaps there, but there's also differences in actually what's being measured. And so that's why we really have to have all of this information put together in order to make informed decisions about what students need. So just, really think that bears repeating for the public, for the parents to understand. So yeah, your child may, do well on one or the other, but there's different things being measured. And then there's also some gaps that we need to fill to kind of bring those two assessments together as well to make a plan for your child. So I just really love that you pointed that out and just wanted to repeat that. I do have a question about what is the current sequence for math? So is it algebra 1, 2, then geometry? Where does trig fall in? Because that's changed over the years. Like back when I was in school, I won't say how long ago, but I took algebra 2 and trig together. And then I took geometry in 9th grade, but it's been switched around. So what is the current sequence, just for my own education?
So the current sequence is Algebra 1, Geometry, and then Algebra 2. After that, the students then can go into different pathways. What the state is moving to is an integrated approach.
Yep.
So Algebra 1, Algebra 2, Geometry will be combined into an integrated 1 and an integrated 2.
Got it, okay, and that, go ahead.
Reasons why they're doing that is because then they want the next math to be more aligned with what a child's career aspirations are. And so that is gonna be
Beyond the
the
algebra
trick that we're trying to figure out, right? I mean, and we'll get more guidance on, because the last thing we wanna do is track students.
Yeah.
And so it's just gonna be, what does that guidance look like, and what's the expectation as far as when you're going towards a career and aligning a math course to a career, what is the state expectation on that?
Ah, that makes sense. Okay. And I love that parents are going to have the opportunity to get those quarterly reports. I think that's great. I would just suggest that not only, I know you have it listed under elementary, but I feel like for secondary, that's really important too. So just make sure we don't leave out the secondary parents. I know the kids are older, a little bit more mature, but I mean, maybe. I don't know. I have a 13-year-old that's in 8th grade. Maturity is relative, I guess. But I think it's just helpful every step of the way, you know, to make sure that parents are aware and involved, and to Ms. Smith's point and Dr. Small's point, making sure that they have some resources, even, you know, as their child moves along. I get elementary is the foundation, but, you know, we do have still some concerns with middle school. So we just can't leave them out, because I know sometimes parents may check out at that point because they're like, they're on their own, they can figure things out. But I know myself as a parent of a middle schooler would love to have that communication, and I think a lot of parents feel that way, and that, you know, that you may make them aware of things that they're not aware of, you know what I mean? So, I mean, they get the reports and things like that, but they may not always know how to interpret that. But I think including parents at the secondary level is really key. And then I just was curious, are we seeing trends in certain skills? So when we're doing like collaborative planning and we're doing this data analysis and these deep dives, are we seeing like, okay, across the board, kids are struggling with this one math concept? So then we can look at maybe how we're teaching it. Maybe it's just not resonating with anyone. Is that something that we look at? Because I know there's certain things, you know, that kids will repeat. I have a hard time with this, you know what I mean? And it's kind of universal. And so are we looking at things like that to identify trends that maybe it's not just a certain group of kids that's having a hard time with a certain concept, it's the way that it's being taught is not really resonating with anyone?
Well, and I think that's the beauty of collaborative planning, and we just started doing it, so we're working, part of our collaborative planning is looking at student work. So that's going to be where we're going to be able to look at trends. But again, I think they just started last week, so.
Oh, wonderful, okay.
We are getting there.
Early on.
We're not there yet. And we're also trying to figure out, you know, how are we going to see it translate into the classroom?
Yeah.
Because that's really what we want to see, right?
Yes.
Is all this planning turning around and making our kids and our teachers learn more. So that's our goal, and I'm hoping that we get there, but we just started, so give us a little bit.
Wonderful, thank you so much.
But I love the, yeah, that is our goal.
And I did want to add that that is our focus this year in our PLT work, when we bring the school teams together, is to look at collaborative planning. And what's the purpose of the collaborative planning? Because there's many purposes. And I know we're coming back at the work session, we're going to talk about collaborative planning. So we'll have more of these answers for you at the end of the month.
Fantastic.
Another piece to add to that is our assessment platform that we use now, which is the Mastery Connect within the Canvas platform. It allows the teachers to see right away as soon as they take it. All the students, why did 40% of the students answer this question when the answer was this? And they can focus on what the answers that they actually selected versus what the correct answer was, and be able to hone in on that and then make instructional adjustments there. So
That's
that's
good.
beautiful that we didn't have before, that we're really excited about. And
That
then
I love,
Implementing
'cause
that with the collaborative planning is going to be.
I hear sometimes the
Have a
kids
lot of
will say,
benefits.
my own child has said, and I've heard from other students like, oh, well, you didn't do so well on this test. And I'm like, well, what happened, you know? And he's like, everybody failed it. You know, like, it wasn't just me, everybody failed. Now, whether or not that's always the case, right, we don't know. But I have heard also from, you know, other students and, you know, teachers, my daughter's a teacher, and it's like, you know, I don't know what happened, this particular assessment or whatever, nobody got the concept for whatever reason. So clearly we need to go back and look at that. So that's really good to hear that we have those tools available now.
All right, Ms. Butler-Washington?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Great information. I just got two questions for you. Along the same thing as Ms. Kramer was talking about the trend, the thing that popped in my head that I always think that is perfect for our teachers to use is the AI tool. for teaching students how to solve a problem. The reason I said it, the teacher can teach one way, student does not capture it, does not resonate with them. The IA gives them a tool of how to work a problem, and they say, I got it. Guess what that is? Teachers have two ways that they can solve a problem, and the student can either gravitate to either or. To me, that's a win-win situation. So that's why I said trend is something that we should always be thinking about, but also in the same thing, when they're giving us these new tools that we can use, we need to think outside the box. AI is not bad. It teaches them how to do things that maybe we didn't think that we can do. We got 50% of the class, they got it. But the other 50, which is the blue, is what we need to increase. So they could bring that up to about 30 or 40. That's a win-win situation for all of us. So AI, I want it to be thought about, brought into the classroom, and the teacher can bring it up. If we don't want the students to use it, let the teacher bring it up and bring it up instead the kids can look at it and see if they can resonate with that way of solving the problem. So it's just all about how a child minds learn. Everybody doesn't learn in a one-fit-all world. So we have to be able to prepare in this new world, especially with these new students that we are coming along. They are like, I'm not getting it. You're gonna have to show me something else, and we got to be ready for that fight. So that's one of the things I wanted to give. So thank you, Ms. Kramer, for bringing that up. The next thing is the MTSS process. I love it. And I'm gonna go back to that blue section. I know we did increase, yes, we get increases, and that's wonderful. But I'm focused on that blue part, because that's where those kids are gonna land in the community, and they're gonna be on the backs of the community. I wanna make sure they are just as successful as the ones that are on the top side. So my question is, when they are falling behind, and the process you have for the MTSS was great how you explained it, so how are we capturing those students? Because the next time they take this, we will be able to see the effect of what we're trying to do the interventions with, so they can be able to capture, and it'll show in numbers, and we can show to parents, the world, Charles County, hey, Charles County became #1. And that's what I'm looking for, Charles County becoming #1 in all of the state of Maryland. I love Maryland, but I'm more focused on Charles County. So just making sure that those interventions work in the blue part and pushing them up. So those are the things that I think that we should be, focusing on and doing for. So thank you for that. So.
Thank you. Do you have anything, Ms. Obenali? No? Okay. Just a couple, you want to, yes.
Make a quick note on this, and I think it's an important thing to Ms. Butler Washington's point. I think part of it also, just want to connect the dots a little bit. The board just approved the superintendent performance indicators, which I believe will be published. I have to correct one word. I know, Shelley, I'm sorry, and send it to them. But the board approved them. In those will be available to the public. And in those, the board had a metric for the superintendent, for me, which is the growth indicators on typical growth and stretch growth. Why I have a mental block with the word stretch. Thank you. Like even the chairperson remembers it now. And I think that goes to that point around how do we get the students in the blue to become orange, right? And I just want to emphasize that we have the stretch goal is something we've been talking to everybody about this year. How do we get students to grow more than what typically growth happens, because otherwise they'll never be able to catch up, and you heard a little bit about that. So those interventions, those strategic pieces around it, it is around the stretch goal. It is my performance indicator with my bosses. It is something we're talking system-wide. So I just wanted to kind of loop that together. Excuse me.
No problem. Thank you, Dr. Navarro. And as a parent of both an elementary and secondary customer, I appreciate this because they're vastly different. Their needs are different. I'm very excited to see that we're going to be able to track the interventions that students have. Kudos, kudos, kudos. What has worked, what hasn't worked, because I'm not a big believer in doing something because we've always done it. It's almost like mini IEPs in a way, you know what I mean? Like very tailored education, you know what I mean, to students. So I was thrilled to hear that. I'm a big believer in celebrating the small wins. We take all wins, you know what I mean? no one's saying that we're resting here. We appreciate that we do have work to do, but it is encouraging to see things moving. And in related news, one of the things, my son, he's new to middle school. So my daughter is now a senior in college. And the difference of the 9 years, it's like night and day in how education has changed so quickly. So I want to say that I appreciate that we are changing with it. We're pivoting with it, and we're not doing what we did when my daughter was in elementary school or middle school 10 years ago. One of those newer things, I think we're maybe in the second year, is the math lab. And for the benefit of the public, I don't know that we've ever really talked about it. Do you think that might be part of what's attributing to some of these changes and this positive direction, or pardon me, that we're seeing in the scores in math?
I do think it attributes to some of the changes because, you know, I think the iReady, one of the things that it has done is it helped us target where the support needs to be. And then once we've been able to target it, it's really up to us to figure out, okay, we know the problem, what's the answer to fix it?
Right.
And then, so the math lab helped us tailor 3 different types of classes, and I'll let Sheila talk about it, but we do look at, you know, those scores to see the help and support that a student needs and then match it to the different lab class.
I think it speaks to what research says about pre-teaching versus reteaching. You know, pre-teaching, you get more results out of pre-teaching. So it gives us that time and dedicated space in a student's schedule versus saying, hey, we know pre-teaching's the best strategy.
Right.
Now it's built in their schedule and it's a class dedicated to that. So we really have, I've worked hard with my resource teachers on creating a guide for them. And this, you know, this is what we're doing in core. These are the skills that we need to go back and pre-teach them before we get to the unit. So it has given just a dedicated space to focus on what students need. And then that's where we utilize the personalized instruction provided by MyPath. So after the students take that MyPath, the computer creates a pathway to get them to grade level. So 45 minutes a week is the recommended. They do it in lab. So there's some time. And then if the students are not successful in a certain domain, the system shuts them down, moves them to something they can be successful at. That's where the teacher intervenes. So the teacher then pulls a small group or an individual, reteaches that again, and then they go back on the computer. So we're letting the computer take care of some of those fluency standards, things like that, and then the teacher can intervene as possible. So it's just a dedicated time and the student schedule that we take, that we use to intervene.
I appreciate that. And I'm assuming likewise for students that may be ahead or, leaning towards the stretch goals or, getting ahead, we can pivot in that way as well.
So Math Lab 1 and Math Lab 2 are intervention courses. Math Lab 3 are supports. So the
Gotcha.
difference is those are supporting the kids in the accelerated classes and then in Algebra 1. So even though they're above grade level, there's still an option to have that lab just in case they need that support versus an intervention.
I appreciate that.
And if you notice again at the data that we showed, 7th grade was where we saw some of our biggest gains in both math and ELA. So it's pretty exciting
Yes,
stuff.
I
It seems
know.
that things are going in the right direction. It's good
That is
stuff.
fantastic, because 8th grade is that very pivotal year as we prepare them for high school and start thinking about, are they going to be taking AP, if they're already taking AP, et cetera, et cetera. And candidly, I share Ms. Brenda Thomas's excitement about the writing, because candidly, that's something that's a life skill that they need forever. And many students, in college, candidly, still struggle, especially the core COVID folks that lost so much that, now my son was in kindergarten and now is in 6th grade, you know what I mean? And it's like day and night in terms of the work we've had to do, the tears, the prayers, all the things. But I'm just very excited because, I know it's still early on, but he's excited to go to school. He likes it. It's working for him so well because it feels to him like this is my personal plan that can help me do my best. So I have to, so far so good. I'll circle back if we have any other feedback. But so far, we're very excited. So I appreciate that. Like most, I have other questions, but keeping in mind we have about 25 minutes left.
Yep.
If you'd like to continue, please.
So now we're going to talk about the advanced placement test. And I just want to, the exciting thing about this is because at the same time that we have more students taking the advanced placement classes, we have students going into early college. And I just want to remind folks that if you're in early college, you can't take an advanced placement class because you're on the college campus at CSM taking college courses.
Right.
So we really are growing in both areas. So it does show growth with rigor with our students in our high schools. And so at this time, Steve, if you want to kind of review
Again, we're going to see more wins here, as you've noted. If you take a look here on the left-hand side is AP course enrollment. This is the number of students that are taking one or more classes. So from
That's phenomenal.
22, spring of 22 till spring of 25, we've seen a growth in the number of students that are taking taking the courses. And then on the right, we've doubled in the past 2 years the number of students that are actually taking tests, the number of tests that are being taken. So it's pretty exciting. But when you look at that, you're thinking, okay, we've added the number of students that have increased. We've increased the number of students that are actually sitting for tests, and you think, all right, what's that going to do to the results? Well, this next one shows that we've seen gains there too, which is really, really exciting. So typically a 3, 4, or 5 shows passing. That's where most colleges will accept credit for the AP test if they score 3 or higher. So we've highlighted that here. You could see for last year, 49% of our students who took tests got a 3, 4, or 5. This year, we had 59% of our students. So we not only increased the number of students who are taking tests and the number of tests taken, but we're also increasing the number that are being successful in it. So it's exciting, really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the courses that was added last year, in almost all our high schools and now in all our high schools this year is the AP seminar course. And I just want to highlight that for parents because it's for 10th grade English, counts as a 10th grade English credit. It uses the 10th grade English curriculum, but it also uses and highlights the tools needed to be successful in an AP course. So parents out there, if you have a 10th grader, they're taking an AP course and they're not in an AP seminar, you might want to ask about that in your high school.
Shameless plug.
So we also did the breakdown for the subgroups. If it's a subgroup of 10 or fewer, it's suppressed, but this is it's shown the total course enrollment and the AP tests taken for each of the subgroups. And then the next one, very similar. This is how College Board reports out. A lot of wins there.
Yeah. All right,
So
that's it.
Any
Okay.
questions on the AP?
Fantastic. I'll start on this end first. Any questions, Ms. Bella Washington?
No,
You good? Okay.
great information on this one.
All right.
Gonna win.
Okay, Ms. Smith?
So many congratulations across the board, especially when it comes to our AP offerings. I actually had to do a quick search on our CCPS page just to see how many AP courses we offer, and it's 32. So I'm very proud of our system in terms of ensuring that our kids have opportunity to engage in all these courses. But what I would like to inquire about is there symmetry across all our high schools in terms of where these courses are offered?
I'll have to come back with that to make sure I give you an answer. All high schools are able to offer all the courses. We don't limit like what courses high schools can offer, but I'll have to look to see what are actually offered in all the high schools and give you that answer later.
Just want to ensure that our Thomas Stone students, our Lackey students, McDonough students, as well as they have the same offerings as everyone else
Right.
in the county, the same opportunity to access all those courses because they'll also be applying to the same colleges and universities that their peers are applying to. And so wanting to be able to demonstrate that they were able to not only access, but demonstrate that they were able to meet that level of rigor and aptitude, especially when it comes to their college applications or wherever they may want to go beyond high school.
Yeah. I will say that one of the reasons why, I think we can, with all those courses, we are providing the opportunity and sending all of our AP teachers to training every summer. And we spend a tremendous amount of money, and it's money well spent, to go and get some training. But some of the best training that they do receive is when they go and they score the AP exams. So we do often encourage our teachers to take advantage of volunteering to score the AP exams, because that is actually some of the best AP trainings that you can get. But it's also an opportunity to meet other AP teachers from around the country. And they end up usually bonding together and learning from one another. So the other thing is I just want to remind the board that, one of the things that is offered to all of our students is when you're in AP class, we pay for the AP exam now. And so there really is no reason for a student not to take the AP test at the end of one of these courses. Where in the past, it did cost some money for some parents, and we paid for it, but if you didn't receive a 3 or a higher, actually, we made the parent pay for that test. So not anymore. Now we pay for all students to take the test, which also gives us good feedback about whether the students are doing well within our courses in our schools.
Also wanted to give the system kudos for the AP Boost that we offered for the past few summers. I know with the budget situation this past summer, we weren't able to pay for the course as we had the year prior, but still offering those who this will be their first introduction, whether it's AP US History or AP Cal, an opportunity to get a kind of a foot in the door in terms of what the expectation will be, and being able to set them up for success come day one of that course. So I think it's innovative. I think it's thoughtful in terms of preparing students and offering opportunity. Hopefully, with the budget situation, we're able to get back to a point where we can actually pay for the course, but appreciate that we actually do offer it.
Just a quick related question. How do we, as we're planning what AP courses we're going to offer, I know we're very big on projections. Are we looking at performance in 6th and 7th grade as we prepare to offer AP for maybe 8th grade and beyond? Just curious how that process works. I know you don't necessarily know the breakdown at individual schools, but what does that look like? In terms of what we're going to offer and possibly where? Is it in, a combination of enrollment or student interest? Just curious.
So it's really student enrollment. We offer all courses, and students sign up for the courses that they take. We encourage all the students, to take rigorous courses, and we look at the students that are doing very well in 8th grade, and especially in U.S. history, and we encourage them to take the AP. And then schools have to make a decision as to whether they're going to run the course or not. Now, one of the things that we've done with schools this year is if there are a certain number of students, say 5 students or 4 students that want to take AP Calc BC, and they don't feel like they're going to have enough to run the course, we do encourage them to call us, and then we look at providing the course to another avenue. Because one of the things we don't want to do is have students not be able to take the course.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we
And with
look at the
32
Apex
courses, that
courses
is,
and offer it through Apex, and we look at other avenues. One of the things we've done this year is we added some little extra staffing at our virtual academy to be able to offer some different types of courses that maybe some schools, because of the low enrollment, aren't able to offer. And then it would be a virtual option for students.
Which I know isn't, always ideal depending on it, but I appreciate that we could at least still offer
We're trying to be
it.
flexible and try to
Yeah.
provide as many
Yeah.
options as we can.
Understood. I definitely appreciate that. Yes, Ms. Smith. I'm sorry, Ms. Thomas. I apologize. Can you, I was gonna say, flip your mic.
Applaud the AP classes and the changes we made, and the subgroups. I'm excited to see that we're looking at the subgroups, but one subgroup that I don't see, that I would like to see is special education students. I think there's a misnomer that sometimes special education students can't be high performing, and we all know that's not really true. Coming from a mom who had a dyslexic son who was, if you made the work harder, he'd do better than if you let the work be easier. I mean, it was just a reality. And so I want to make sure that we're also tracking those students and encouraging those students who they may need some extra help. And while we know AP classes have rigor, that doesn't mean that they're counted out or that they can't, to Ms. Smith's point, if we have a boost or we have some supports that we can give them so that they can still have the same opportunities to be able to take the AP classes and, move on to be successful as well. I'd like to see us, just look at that subgroup, look at ways that we can encourage those students as well, and then see if we can get them on track to be able to take advantage if it's something that can be beneficial to them.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? No? All right, thank you all very much.
Thank you so
Wonderful
much.
presentation. Oh, yes, this is fantastic. And we're ahead of schedule. Look at us showing off. All right, next up. Oh, I apologize. Can you all hold on one second? There's a student question. My apologies, sweetie. I didn't see your hand. Yes, ma'am.
I had a question about, so I know you were talking about advancing math courses and condensing Algebra 1 and Geometry and Algebra 2 and stuff like that. But do you guys know if you offer, kind of going into the AP exams as well, AP microeconomics and macroeconomics? Because offering those courses, because I know they are not offered at my school, and offering those courses could bring a different variety of math to the county that I think could be very important to people who are just confined to like AP statistics as of right now. So I didn't know if that was something that the county offered.
Great
Yeah,
question.
We do offer the course, both of those courses. Some schools go on an alternating basis where they offer microeconomics one year, then the next year they do macroeconomics. Just depends on course requests and how it goes. So sometimes if it's not offered, it's because no one requested the course that year or there weren't enough students to fill it. So we really have to look closely at that.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, yes, there's one other question.
I had a question as well. Going back to the early college and then AP courses. I'm a new early college student. I'm a junior at Goes Left High
congrats.
School, but I just started the early college program, and I definitely don't want to be the type that makes my GPA my whole identity. And I think I've heard that you're implementing the AP weighting for the students who are freshmen this year, but could you explain why that's not the case right now? I know that for me, they've explained that my classes are going to all be weighted as honors classes, but I really am in college. For example, one class of mine out of the 4, I was assigned 9 assignments in 1 week, and it's a crazy course load. I don't think that high school's really prepared me to go into college, but I'm really just blessed to have this opportunity and this rigor and this challenge, and so I'm really looking forward to it, but I was just wondering about the weighting and how that goes back to my high school.
Sure. So we did it as part of the new grading policy. We brought in the weighting. It was something that was brought up, and it was something we looked at because we heard from many students that a college course should count, as much as a college course and not as an honors course. And then we looked and we saw that there was some questions about why did some CTE courses were weighted and other CPE courses were not weighted. So we wanted to make something uniform. And so what you ended up saying that if a course is going to be offered and taken and count as a college credit, then they would get the 1.0. And then other courses that were honors would get the half a credit and then. But in coming in, we had to make it fair for all students because some students that were already in school had already looked at the weighting system and had already taken courses based on what that system was when they were entering as a 9th grader. So we wanted to make it fair for everyone in the class. So therefore we said, okay, for this incoming class, the new grading policy on weighting will take place. And that way everyone coming in knew what they were coming into, and it kept it uniform for everyone in a class. And so that's really how it was. We've tried to make some corrections to correct the thing that you're talking about, but unfortunately for you, fortunately to you, you're in the early college program, but unfortunately it doesn't go into effect until this year's freshman class.
Any other questions? No? Thank you. Thank you again.
Thank you.
All right. Ms. Chris Miller, our coordinator, of District Innovation with our blueprint update. Welcome. Okay, thank you. Yeah, she printed it again. I don't know why. I don't know. I had already signed it, but she printed it again for us to sign. So I don't know if she corrected, so I don't know. Oh, Hispanic heritage. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, you got it. Okay, thanks.
No worries.
Came down early this morning and
put it on the computer and now it's not there. Technology, when it works, right?
Happened to me earlier. You just have to pivot.
Pivot. My name is Chris Mulholland-Miller. I am your Blueprint Implementation Coordinator. Yay. Happy to be here. And what I'm really excited about is, as we're talking about all of this work with MCAP and AP, I just want to take you back to last month when we talked about that strategic plan. That's not why I'm here today. However, I just want you to continue to keep that in mind, because many of the things that were talked about today impact that strategic plan. We talked about MTSS, we talked about high quality instruction. So, all of the things that we're doing are very intentional and they're all very related. So, although they're all different presentations, it's all very much related to the same thing. And so that brings me to where we're at with the blueprint. As we move forward with the blueprint, as you know, we are looking at we just finished year 3 of our blueprint implementation. And in the spring of 2023, we wrote our original plan, which is available on our website. And in the spring of 2024, we had some updates to that plan from the AIB, which again, that is also available on our website. And we're required every year to have some sort of either written plan or an update to the AIB, which is also the Accountability and Implementation Board. This year, they decided, instead of having a written plan, that we would have a progress monitoring conference. And that is this fall. They have started across the state. Ours is not until the end of October. We're one of the last ones to go. And they really have us focused on very specific areas. The conferences, they're going to highlight our county's success with the blueprint. We're going to discuss what adjustments we may have with our plans or modifications, and then we're going to talk about some challenges to our implementation. So specifically, and again, as we talk about that, I want you to think about that hat and that lens of the strategic plan as well. So we'll be looking at blueprint. Specifically in the blueprint, we'll be looking at pre-kindergarten implementation. So that is the question 1 from our 2024 plan. We're going to look at teacher pipeline, specifically highlighting our high quality and diverse workforce, national board certification, effective partnerships with institutes of higher education, and our mentorship and induction programs. We're also going to be looking at our math and ELA achievement, specifically looking at MCAP and Algebra 1. And we're going to be looking at Promise students and community schools, and specifically certain groups as well, our multilingual learners, our special ed students, and our community schools, really looking at how are those students and those schools performing as compared to all of our students. And then last but not least, we will be discussing the minimum school funding, especially when it comes to that 75-25% of our budget that is following this student for our students. And so we've been working very closely to really reflect on what we're doing. We've been meeting with our pillar groups again and our pillar leads, again, to really think about what is it that we want to highlight for the AIB. One of the things that the AIB has told us is they don't want us to put on a show. Mm-hmm. They want to have a discussion with us. Mm-hmm. I like to put on a show. I'm not going to do it. I had a theme going and everything, so I appreciate it. Put it away. I mean, I might. I don't know. We'll see. No, but they really want to have honest and deep discussions with us to help us reflect and think about what are things that we can be doing and what are the things that they need to hear as a governing board, some of the concerns that we have with that. So with that, we have specific members. We can't bring everybody with us. It is in Annapolis. It's a 3-hour meeting. So we have Ms. Karen Acton, Mr. Kevin Lowndes, Ms. Nikki Majors, myself, Dr. Navarro,
Navarro, Steve Roberts, David Shimizu, and Beth Sorsby. And so anything that is reported out, just as you all know, I overshare, which is probably one of my greatest and worst qualities. Any report that is shared with us will be shared on the Blueprint website, just like we do, because again, transparency is very important in this process.
Can you remind the board where David and Beth work, just so they understand?
Yes.
Because they are aware of the others, I'm not sure they remember.
So Beth Sorsby works with early childhood education, and so she's coming because of Pillar 1.
Okay.
She is all things Pillar 1, when they're looking for the data, and we're talking about how many Tier 1 students we have, how many Tier 2 and Tier 3, how many 3-year-olds we have. I'm convinced that Beth sleeps, eats, and dreams that every day. She's very good with her numbers. And then David Shimizu, he works in the Office of Human Resources, and he is coming with us because he is also our data guy when it comes to getting information about the number of conditional teachers that we have. What does our diversity look like in our schools with when it comes to our teaching staff? And these are all things that are related to these questions, and we want to be able to have that data very accessible to us because it's important for the discussion of that day.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Okay. Miss.
Questions?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Lowndes.
All right. Ms. Smith, I saw your hand, and then Mr. Hancock.
Absolutely. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Always encouraged by your report. Thank you so much. Also, given that several of us serve on the state level, we have the opportunity to hear some of the plans, challenges, implementation happening across in our sister counties. And we know that Charles County, in many respects, continues to lead the way. Especially in Pillar 1 when it comes to our youngest learners and finding opportunities to ensure that our 3- and 4-year-olds are in fact in learning environments that we're able to support. I'm very encouraged. I'm excited to hear kind of what the outgrowth of that will be. Just quick point for the public. You mentioned at promise as a term that we're now using. That is the new term for previously our at-risk students.
Yes.
It's now a shift in how we speak about those students, so it's at promise. So I just wanted to
Yes.
clarify that for the public if helpful.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hancock.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Miller. I appreciate it. Just a couple quick questions, and forgive me if you said the answer already, but I know with the AIB monitoring visit, it's listed here as the fall of 2025. Is there an exact date for that?
I believe ours is October 28th.
Okay, October 28th. And I think it's a great thing. I guess my question would be, do you know what will be done with the information and data that's collected from that visit?
So they have given us, their plan is to give us data 6 weeks in advance. So they are asking for trend data across all of these specific areas. So for example, in pre-K, they're looking at trend data for the number of students that we serve in pre-K through the different tiers. They're looking at our pre-K readiness assessments. What do our scores look like? And so that's data that we want to also share with the public as well after our scores, or after our report is complete, our progress monitoring report. And so again, with that data that they're sharing with us, it's really to think about what are the challenges that we're facing, what barriers are we facing, and how do we plan on, fixing some of the things that the challenges that we're having. And then we're also adding additional data that they're not necessarily giving it to us. So when we were looking at our pre-K numbers, we did not have any pre-K private provider spots 3 years ago. And this year, or last year, we're up to 32 spots. And 32 spots doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're coming from 0, we're seeing this, that's more than one classroom. That's almost 2 classrooms full of 1.5 classrooms of pre-K students. So we're highlighting that, we are facing barriers when it comes to space for pre-K, but we're also really trying to build the capacity of our private pre-Ks in our system in order to help expand those spaces. So all of that, all of the data that's going to be shared, we're talking about the challenges that we're facing and some of the successes that we're having as well. And what are our future plans to continue that growth? Remember, we have that idea of growth mindset, measuring growth when it comes to our test scores, measuring growth when it comes to the percentage of teachers that are certified, how we're retaining our teachers. So, again, we have this whole mindset and this idea of how are we measuring growth in these areas.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Ms. Thomas, and we'll come back to Ms. Smith.
Thank you. I thank Mr. Hancock for asking. Part of my question was, what's the strategic vision behind when we come to this visit, right? What are the things that we want to share, right, from our county perspective on where we could either use more help or we could help refine what's going on in the blueprint. So you answered that question for me, so thank you very much. My other question is, one of the parts of the monitoring visit is the minimum school funding. So what's the strategic card you have in your back pocket about
I would like to phone a friend. So we had this discussion yesterday and I know that there's CFO calls every week, and many of our districts around the state are finding that there are concerns about minimum state funding. There are concerns with enrollment, that many of our districts are losing enrollment, or their projected enrollment is not as high as they expected it to be. And so one of the things that we have talked about as a state is what are some common themes that we're seeing, all of the districts, and what are ways in which we can get this message to the AIB and to MSDE. So there is some advocacy on behalf of PZAM, who represents the superintendents, and we are asking, for the AIB to really look at if every school district has at least X number of schools that is not meeting the minimum school funding, what does that mean about this formula? And what is it that, what does the AIB, how can they advocate as well? One of the things I will say about MSDE and AIB, the relationship is much better between the two agencies now that we've had the new state superintendent. And I'm not throwing any, it is what it is. I'm not saying that one person was at fault or, one agency. They're getting along much better, which makes it very easy for us to advocate for implementation of the blueprint. And I feel as if for the first time in 4 years, they're listening to the districts. So there is some shared language when it comes to minimum school funding that all of us have concerns about, and we're going to share at the AIB progress monitoring.
Thanks so much for that, because to Ms. Smith's point, when we're working at the state level with MABE and others, we hear lots of things, and I know that that's been a bone of contention, how is the funding going to come? How will it be distributed? Given cuts, what's going to happen? And for us to have so much progress, I really want to make sure that the progress has been because we've gotten funding, and we've been able to use that funding in a robust way to support our district, and we don't want to see a lag in our progress because we don't have the funding, or we just have to look at it differently. So I'm glad that you feel that we'll have enough leverage to collectively go back and say, don't stop our progress now, let's talk about ways that we can, to Ms. Butler-Washington's point, think outside the box so we can, so that we can get there. So thank you very much.
Yes. Ms. Smith, you had another point?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'll be brief because I know I spoke already. Community schools, we referenced sort of serving at the state level. One of the committees that I chair is the Federal Advocacy advocacy, if I can say that word, committee for MABE. We're always talking about being able to reach out to our, Maryland delegation in Congress. And I know that Senator Van Hollen is a staunch proponent for community schools. So if we're there telling a story in Annapolis about the work that we're doing on the ground for community schools, and there is a one-pager or whatever products or artifacts that have come out of preparing for that meeting, Dr. Navarro, perhaps that's something that we share with Senator Van Hollen, just to tell him the good works that are happening here in the county relative to community schools. But always thinking about, like, how are we telling our story about the work that we're investing in and what we're doing, what we're seeing come out of our scholars. So.
Any other questions or comments? Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Miller, for being here. As always, it's lovely to see you. And truly appreciate the work that you're doing. I know I say that a lot. I think we all do, but I think it bears repeating. This has been a years-long process, and the progress that we've made and the strides in Charles County in comparison to some of our other counterparts is just truly remarkable. I just wanted to ask, I know with the meeting you have all of the stakeholders that you need, and in the past, we have, as Ms. Smith talked about, federal advocacy. Madam Chair and I are on the legislative committee as well, and we've talked about several proposed bills and things that come up that may impact the blueprint, and just wanted to just ask and just put out there, and I'm sure that but that if there is anything that we can do at our level, just let us know, so that if you hear anything coming, when the visit happens, if the AIB shares anything with you about proposed changes that you may or may not want us to sort of advocate for or against, just please let us know. I know speaking for myself, but I'm sure I'm speaking for my colleagues that would be happy to support anything that we can do in terms of an advocacy at the state level, to the extent that, we're able to and we're in those spaces. So I just wanted to just make sure I state that. And I know it's been said before, but just wanted to remind you with this visit coming up, so.
Thank you. And certainly, last year, there was a lot of advocacy on behalf of the blueprint, and I suspect there probably will be again this year. And so what's nice about PZAM is that they do give us a lot of tools to help us with that. So certainly it'll something that will be shared with you as well.
Thank you.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Just quickly, Ms. Muller, as has been said, thank you. Very much appreciate you. You continue to be a statewide rock star, and we hear your name often.
It's a team effort. Thank you as well. Thank you for your support.
I'm so tickled that many of us are as old as the blueprint implementation, because we started officially in the spring of 23. It seems like a lifetime ago.
It does.
I mean, forever. Whew. But just to reiterate exactly what the Vice Chair said, it was one of the points I wanted to make. In case you weren't aware, I do serve on the May Board of Directors. We've had some spirited discussions on how the blueprint looks for the different LEAs, the 24 within the state. But, whatever we can do, more than willing to do it in individual capacities from, the MABE level, and especially around advocacy as we prepare to go into the next legislative season, understanding that it is also an election season. So that is going to present its own, challenges and, at the state level. And, we at the May Board of Directors, probably even more so than PZAM, don't necessarily always align. But there are things that we absolutely do agree on. So I'd like to focus on the positive, candidly. What I mean? Because there are, as there's some LEAs that have very strong disagreements as to funding, and the calculations and the needs, and candidly, some are questioning whether we even need the blueprint. All of the things that we're still processing. But I think as we settle into year 3, acceptance, for many, we're at that stage, and because we in Charles County, just to toot our own horn, have implemented so many aspects so very well. We need to share the knowledge, and maybe that can serve to encourage others that may be struggling, that may be at a different point. Some is candidly still questioning the value. So I appreciate you bringing that forward for us. And just one other quick question. And as Mr. Hancock said, forgive me, I don't think you shared, but I know we had some visits last year. Did we get any feedback? Last we heard, we were waiting. Yeah.
We did.
Oh,
However, they're still in draft form.
okay, okay.
So, there was some advocacy.
Uh-oh.
Kinda like,
That's a loaded question.
many of us, as Blueprint implementation coordinators, some of us who have been there longer than others and aren't afraid to speak up.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, when we talk about the feedback loop, we talk about how important it is for our students, for our teachers, to get feedback as quickly as possible, right? You don't go in and have a writing assignment for a student and provide feedback to it and give it to them 6 months later.
Yeah.
We don't do that for teachers when we observe them. So that was our concern when it comes to some of these expert review team visits. The earliest one took place in January.
Yeah.
And we just received feedback within the past 2 weeks.
Oh.
Yeah. However, not everybody within the agency was aware that things were as lag as they were. So they did a really good job of turning around that feedback in a very quick amount of time.
Right.
They have provided feedback to the schools, but not in our district, but in many of our neighboring districts. The information that was provided was incorrect. So they're giving schools time to review everything and to make sure that the feedback that they received was for their school. We did receive information about the schools that have been selected for this upcoming school year.
Okay.
I have a call with MSDE tomorrow. The process is changing a little bit. It's a 1-day visit, not a 2-day visit. We have 3 schools that are going to be visited this school year. They just selected the dates that they want to have.
Okay.
And so I am confident, based on the feedback and the proactiveness that we're seeing right now, that I do anticipate that these school visits the feedback will come back much sooner than it did last year.
Oh, fantastic.
And as soon as those results are no longer draft, they will be included on the CCBOE Blueprint website, and we'll also send them to the board as well.
I appreciate that, because I would very much love to see. I was like, did I miss it?
No, you did not miss it.
Okay.
It just
Yeah.
lag.
Okay,
lag.
fair enough. Yeah, we await it with bated breath. 'Cause
Yes.
I'd love to see.
Because
you
we
know.
want feedback.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
it's not and that's what I keep telling the schools that are getting visits. Like, this is not a gotcha.
Yeah.
This is, what are you doing? What's working? What's not working? What
Right.
feedback can we provide to you? What are ways in which we can replicate things that are working
well,
and what are
exactly.
things that we can change a little bit because things are not working.
Yeah. And I appreciate that, because, when we have our own internal,
Right.
PLTs, et cetera, that's of course just
Correct.
within CCPS.
Yes.
So the opportunity to have the statewide feedback to
Yes.
truly understand how we are comparing, and I mean, not that we want to compare, but we have to.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean? How we are faring, for lack of a better word, against other LEAs, I think is very critical. And also to identify candidly, not just the disparities, but I think it's an incredible opportunity to understand, okay, these are the improvements
Right.
that need to happen.
And we do, it's
Yeah.
great because we have a school that is being highlighted for their increase in test scores. And I think that's really important to know too, that, an expert review team visit is not a bad thing.
Right. Yeah, you don't have a choice, so you might as well embrace it.
That's right. You're going to be visited sometime between now and 2030. So.
Right. Yes, ma'am. Well,
Okay.
thank you again, Ms.
Thank
Miller. Much
you.
appreciated. Yes. All right. Next up, money. Ms. Karen Acton. Yes, money. We're going to change the presentation going forward. And Ms. Sherry Fisher Davis with the intercategory budget transfer.
Yep, transfer, whatever you want to say. Okay, so these things are always a little bit confusing. And we will be coming to you for quite a few meetings in a row to get everything straight.
Okay.
So what we're coming to you with today is FY 2026, which is the current year. When we close out the previous year, we have to close out the purchase orders that are still open, that are in process, basically, of we've ordered or we've, in most cases, we've ordered, but we haven't received yet. So we haven't closed out that PO, and we have to transfer it to the new year. So this is an adjustment to the budget so that when it comes in, the actual expense gets booked, there's a budget for it. Otherwise, what we do would go against the remaining budget, which is not correct. So this is a request of 12.5 million. These are open POs as of last year that we're moving into this year, and we're increasing this year's budget to reflect those purchase orders.
So
That's what we're
essentially, the
asking
money
for.
just has been sitting. It wasn't, it was allocated but not spent,
We
if I'm tracking?
reserved it last year.
Right, okay.
And it didn't complete,
Right,
basically. So we need
okay.
to move it to the new
This year.
year.
Yes,
So that
ma'am.
we have the budget for it.
Okay, understood. Any questions or comments? Vice Chair Kramer?
Thank you so much. So just for another point of clarification, so I believe in the overview, it mentioned, trying to find it now, that this, do we add it back to, or it was previously added to fund balance, and then we move it to the categories where it belongs? Is that
Yes.
correct?
So
for
that's
fiscal
the
year
accounting
26?
process, is that when you close out those POs for last year, those dollars go to fund balance.
Got it.
And so now we take it back out of fund balance and align it in the right budget categories.
Okay, so
That's
just want
correct.
to clarify that that was not
An
truly-
extra
Yeah, it wasn't an
12.5 million.
extra 12.5 million.
Yes.
This is just really an accounting process that we have to, that when the year closes and there are open purchase orders, we have to add those dollars to fund balance and then reallocate them to the correct categories
In
when the
the-
new year
That's
starts.
correct.
Right.
Absolutely, you have
Thank
it.
you.
Yes.
Perfect. Look at me. And I don't even have a accounting degree, so.
That's right, we'll take you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, any other questions or comments? This is for action later today? No? Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. All right, Dr. Maria Navarro, our school renaming update for Indian Head Elementary.
So my update is actually very, very short. As the board requested for the months of August, September, and October board meetings, I am to report to the board if in any correspondence we received any community input regarding the renaming of Indian Head Elementary. I am now in September here to report that we have not for the month of September, and I will return in October.
Thank you, ma'am.
Questions or comments? All right. Mr. Mike Heim, our Chief of Operations and Supporting Services, with a comprehensive maintenance plan.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Tom Gregan, our supervisor of maintenance, is on his way. We're fortunately running a little bit ahead of schedule. so
Yeah.
Good for
Yeah,
us.
good 15
Good
minutes.
for us, bad for him.
I know.
But I will not have any TV filler time, so we will go ahead and start in his absence.
No commercial breaks?
No commercial breaks. All right. I'm here today, and Tom will be joining us here momentarily to talk about the comprehensive maintenance plan known as the CMP. This is one of the required documents that we have to submit annually in support of our CIP, the Capital Improvement Plan. And it is the framework for how our maintenance department operates. So it talks about our reactive procedures for doing emergency repairs. It also go into great detail about preventative maintenance. It's a 51-page document, so our presentation today is brief. It's just a few slides, but the actual 51-page document is uploaded to board docs for your and the public's
65
opportunity
pages.
to review.
Oh, yeah.
Right? The required pieces of the document. It starts out with the table of contents to show you what is all included in it. It includes our guiding principle statement, It has a vision of outcome. It has a mission statement. It includes a description of interrelationships between the CMP and the Educational Facilities Master Plan, which is another document that we have to submit annually to the IAC in support of our CIP. That'll come later in the spring. It also talks about a long-term focus on our strategic plan. So looking down the road, so we get these questions, how do we lay out a plan for when this boiler or this chiller or this cooling tower needs to be replaced? So it talks about that long-term focus. Also talks about a short-term focus of 1 to 3 years, our plan over the next 1 to 3 years, how we want to address our aging infrastructure. And it also includes the computerized maintenance management system, which used to be called School Dude, which is now Assets Essential. This is the computerized work order system. So the building service workers, principals, if there's something they observe in their building that is not working, they can go ahead and submit this work order, and it's an online process which then is received by our maintenance staff. It is then sorted and routed to the correct maintenance foreman for his staff to go out and address those issues. Next, going into some metrics, you'll see a table here, and it compares our budget with previous year, our current budget, but also talks about industry standards. We have a total of 60 maintenance staff that address all the 4 million square footage of facilities that we own and operate in Charles County, which includes the 23 elementary schools, the 9 middle schools, and the 7 high schools, and our several centers, and also our administrative support buildings. So when you look at the industry standards, we are a little bit understaffed based upon industry standards, but our staff works tirelessly obviously during their 8-hour shifts, but also during overtime as needed, and weekends and over holidays to address our infrastructure and to keep things operating hopefully smoothly and quietly behind the scenes. And you also see some information there where you see for our custodial, which is our operations staff, which is led by April Murphy. It's the last bullet on there. Our building service who are assigned to the schools. You'll see we work on a roughly 17,000 square feet. So each building service worker has roughly 17,000 square feet assigned to them for cleaning and maintaining in a safe manner on a daily basis. So that's why you'll see some schools like a North Point, which is over 200,000 square feet. You'll see we have upwards of 20 building service workers in there. And a small building like Higdon Elementary School, which is under 60,000 square feet, you'll see roughly 3 building service workers who are assigned there, which includes the manager and the evening manager. Right. And next, why do we do what we do? Well, number one, we have to maintain our facilities. But the state holds us to standards. Each year, a number of schools, and you'll see the 5 schools this past school year that were part of the inspection process. So the state, the IAC, the Interagency Commission on Public School Construction sends out inspectors to each school system, and based upon your size, based upon our size, we have roughly 5 schools that are evaluated annually. These are the 5 schools who were evaluated this past school year, and you can see the results in the middle. I know I've talked about this a number of times. I'm going to continue to talk about it. I don't like adequate. I don't strive for adequate in what we do in maintenance or operations, transportation, or with planning and construction. But the standards that have been set forth by the state with the changes that occurred several years ago, that is pretty much the aim of the school systems, to get in that adequate of somewhere between 70 to 79%. And with most of the schools, if you compare the data around the state, falling in that 70 to 75%. And this is Mr. Tom Gregan, who I was mentioning a moment ago.
Welcome, sir.
Okay. So we, all 5 of our schools that were inspected last school year were in the adequate. So we strived and we achieved for what the state set those standards for. In past years, before those standards and the metrics changed, we would see some of our schools, such as North Point in the past, receive the Silver Hammer Award, which was an award that was given out by the state when you were in that 90% range. Those are few and far between, and now if you compare the data around the state. So we are, based upon what we have to work with, happy with those results. And one of the good things, if there is a good thing about new metric, is The state comes out, they give us an initial score, and they give us a 30-day response time to address some of those minor issues. So you'll typically see from the initial report to the final report that's sent out, you'll see an increase of somewhere between 1 to 2 percentage points if the school system has taken the action that the state has asked us to take. A big change, though, for this upcoming school year is in past years, we would know those 5 schools or the number of schools which they selected for that year. We would know them at the beginning of the school year, so we would have some opportunity to go out and address some things that we were, that we had identified as potential concerns. With the new standard protocols that the state is operating on now, is we don't find out those schools until almost right before the inspection time. And Tom, I think you can tell the
2
actual
weeks.
2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
They'll let us know 2 weeks prior to what school will be inspected. And that's when we have to start compiling all our information from the prior year. We have to get all that put together and sent to them so they can review before they actually come out to the site. They'll review all the work orders, all the work that's been done, any improvements to the building, anything that we've taken care of during that prior school year.
A quick question. I agree with you, Mr. Heim. I'm not excited about adequate. It just doesn't sound right. I respect that, given all the changes, this represents a lot of work, and this is probably, maybe adequate isn't even the right word for what you all actually have to do. What is the next category up, and what keeps us from being there?
The next category up would be good.
Okay.
Probably about $20 million.
Oh.
Stop us from getting to that next level. If you do score that across the board, they'll give you a 2% increase in your budget, which really doesn't add up to the money you have to spend.
20 million you have to
get
spend.
there.
Yeah.
The adequate score, it's
Misleading, maybe?
It's a horrible tag,
Yeah.
number one.
Yeah.
Number two, it's just it's trying to tell everybody, and this is what was told to me that my first go-round with this inspection, is that's where they want everyone to be.
Okay.
They're not trying to set the bar too high. They're not trying to set it too low. They're trying to find a middle ground, and this is the way it was explained to me. You guys scored exactly where we wanted you to be. So, I take offense to adequate. Just
Me
like
too.
Mr. Heim.
It's probably not the best word.
No.
Yeah.
No, what we don't want, and of course, one of the things with this is that if you have schools that fall into the poor inadequate range, is that you potentially have more funding. But we're not, as long as I'm sitting at this table and you want to have me sitting at this table, I'm not going to let our schools fall into a poor, inadequate, just to get additional funding from the state.
Yeah,
We're
you don't want to
gonna
tank on
try
purpose.
to address
Agreed.
things with best we can
Yeah.
with the funding we get locally through operating budget, but also through the county budget, and then money we get from the state to avoid that. And
Appreciate that.
just to, if you know,
What, 1 second, sorry.
Sure.
Did you want to add something? I saw you started to.
Well, I was just gonna, Tom, do you know what the distribution of all the schools in Maryland fall, like what percentage? And I think maybe, Mike, you said that, I'm not sure, I think I missed it. What percentage are falling on the adequate, poor, inadequate, good?
I don't know the exact
Okay.
numbers, but in my review, it looked like it was probably in the 75%.
Okay, we may want to circle back and provide the board members that statewide distribution, so you get a sense of how many schools are actually falling where, because of the, I don't like the terminology either,
Yeah.
but maybe we can do that.
I can include that in a future weekly update.
Appreciate
And
it.
just as a point of reference, when you look at the age of the facilities there, keep in mind, Eva Turner, that's a school that had recently gone under a $27 million renovation back in around 21, 22. So that's basically a brand-new school.
Yeah.
And you can see the score that it received.
I know.
And even with North Point, that's a building now, it's hard to believe, it's 20 years old, but you go in that building and it still looks spectacular because of our building service and maintenance staff who take care of our facilities. So I don't agree with the scores, but again, I don't get to make those scores. But our staff works tirelessly to make sure that we have clean facilities that are safe for our students and our staff and the community also who use our facilities. And, getting into a little bit more, some of that will include, cracks in sidewalks or cracks in the parking lot. And as we think of, this past school, and one of the things we're a little bit concerned about, this past winter that we had where we did see long periods of time where we had frozen precipitation on the ground. It would freeze at night and thaw during the daytime and then refreeze. And when you get those cracks in sidewalks and parking lot, those are going to expand as you get water in there and you have the overnight freezing. So we are a little bit concerned that that parking lots and sidewalks, which are yes a safety issue, but can bring down those scores. And there are other things that around like drainage issues around buildings that they'll note that also can bring down scores. But if you really take a deep dive into it and you look at the major mechanical systems and you look at the life safety systems, those systems are getting in the the good area of the adequate. There are some things that also, as I talked about, the asset essentials, our computerized maintenance program system. There's some things that we don't put in there that they would like to see added, and that also takes away, drops some of our percentage points. And we are working with that and in the state to make sure that we get more things put into the work order system.
And something to add to that on the metrics for the work order systems. That was one of the questions I was asking these assessors when they were out. What can we do to, what do you see right up front that we can do to help our scores? Our buildings are good, they're in good shape, they're clean, everything's working like it should. And one of the assessors came back and said, more PMs, more preventive maintenance work orders created. And that's where we have to balance the amount of work orders that we produce, because if you create a work order for preventive maintenance and you don't respond to it, you don't complete it, that goes against our score. So there's a point where we have to balance how many work orders we can actually produce and actually complete with our staff that we have. Last year, we created 4,098 preventive maintenance work orders with a staff of 60. And that's realistically, there's probably 50 feet on the ground in the field. So those are being taken care of along with the work orders that are created by the staff within the school system.
And Tom, I did go over this before you were able to join us. I didn't know if there was anything else you wanted to highlight that I may not have highlighted. I talked about the square footage with our custodial staff, and based upon industry standards that we have 60 maintenance staff, but the industry standards are a little bit higher than that based upon our square footage.
Yes, and that 60 staff, what they're basing the square footage, or their matrix are a little hard to decipher sometimes. They want actual feet on the ground, people that are actually in the schools. In that count of 60, I have bus maintenance staff, I have office staff, I have foremen, I have several positions, about 15 or 16 of those positions that aren't really in the school system, in the schools, working on the schools themselves. They're more, they're supporting all the school system vehicles, buses, and all of that, supply clerks, materials, such things, such positions.
And I'd like to acknowledge and recognize Tom's staff. He has to have a rotation of staff who are available at any time. There's we have holidays that most of our staff and the public get to enjoy, but just this past Christmas Eve, we had an issue that happened with a unit at Brown Elementary School. It had coil had frozen overnight. It was discovered that we had a water leak, and we had Tom's staff reporting out there. We had operations staff, building service staff there to clean up the water. So they, on holidays when folks are getting to celebrate with their family, there are times when they are called out, and that includes the weekends. And recently, which we don't like to have, but we had Craig Elementary School that was closed to a breach with the water line that goes from the well behind Steedham over to Craig. And Tom and one of his staff members were out there till midnight that night, and then right back on in the morning time once they had taken the break with the contractor because it was too dark to continue working. They had isolated, and the water leak had stopped, but we had no water in the building. They were back out there bright and early as the sun's coming up the next morning. So we are fortunate to have folks that don't want to take those calls, but take those calls in the middle of the night, or take those calls on weekends or holidays, to make sure that our buildings continue to operate efficiently and the way that they should. So we are very fortunate to have a great staff with a great work ethic.
Yes, thank you. I absolutely agree with
No
that.
problem. Thank you very much for y'all's support.
Okay, yes. Okay, wait, 1 second. Will you all finish your
We are
presentation?
finished.
Okay, all right. Ms. Smith, and then Ms. Brenda Thomas.
Yes, and I'll be brief. I just want to second the chairperson's comments in terms of the adequate kind of characterization of these buildings. As a parent, no one ever wants to hear that the building is adequate to where I send my children, but definitely appreciate the expertise that you both bring in terms of how you've explained how that kind of categorization comes to play, and kind of what the gap is between exceptional, whatever the next, or good, whatever the next category is versus where we currently are. I did want to inquire about whether or not the gap between how we get to good, are we tracking those? Or like, do we have a system in which we enter the additional points that the
We are
reviewers have
tracking
offered?
it based upon the work orders that we created. That was also why we went from what was formerly known as School Dude, which is our computerized maintenance system. That is the trade name, School Dude. We went to Brightly Systems, which is, it's not been told to us by the state, but that's everything that they're doing within their systems and their metrics is pushing most of the school systems to go to that operating system. And with that, I've had a lot of discussions with the folks that run this stuff, and they're actually talking about at some point where they're going to have access to come into our computerized maintenance system and actually get this information directly versus us supplying it to them every year, because every school system seems to operate on different playing fields. The way they categorize some of their budgeting, we don't categorize some of our budgeting as some of the other school systems do. So there's a lot of indifferences between the school systems that they're trying to create a flat, playing field.
But I think you all have given us the information we need in the event that we hear from the community about the term adequate and what that might mean for their child's school, so appreciate it.
And we do compare the reports. So, as we look at the schedule, different inspectors are looking for different things. So if you have a different inspector, then he or she might be looking in for something different than the one who went to Matola 2 weeks prior. But we will also compare previous years to see if there are particular things that they are looking for, and then we obviously try to address those items that we think are earmarked for potential issues.
And Mr. Heim, you mentioned your staffing numbers. Shameless plug, I did do a science project with my dad when I was in the 5th grade about ground precipitation and cracks.
So you're an expert, you say?
So, I mean, in the event that you need someone additional just to kind of lay eyes, just let me know.
And without getting too far in the weeds, and we have weeds in some of those stormwater management, but that's another thing. As we get into doing renovations or doing new construction, we end up having to increase the number of stormwater management ponds because we cannot have the water from the building and the property running off into the storm. But that adds to the things that Tom and his staff have to address. And of course, those are things that the inspectors from the state come out and look at, but they also go through every 3 years a county inspection. And a school like, as you've all been to the Thornton Elementary School, you see on the front and on the back side of that property that we have several stormwater management ponds, but that becomes part of the things get added into that work order system and things that the state will look at as they come around.
Not an expert in stormwater, just asphalt and concrete, but I can do
Impervious surface, but when we increase impervious surface, if we expand in a parking lot, such as across the street, you'll see that we have a large stormwater management pond between us and Matola to make sure that we are keeping that the runoff on our property.
Either way, Ms. Smith has been holding out on us, clearly. But
we might be seeking her advice with some of our issues.
I know. Just a quick question. I know Ms. Samisha Thomas has something. When you mentioned the difference between, I want to say good and great, but adequate and good is about $20 million. What does that mean specifically in terms of repairs that would be required? Or?
It's going to be repairs required. It's going to be staffing to support the required repairs. It's, most of this is going to be staffing and creating more PMs. That was one of their things is You know, they want to see every item. They want to see a doorknob PM. They want to see a door actuator PM.
Yeah.
They want all of these, you know, detailed items that, you know, in a perfect world, if, you know, budget wasn't an issue, staffing wasn't an issue, you know,
Yeah.
these
Understood.
things. So.
Yeah, that level of detail
Because
is.
we, you know, we talked, so Tom had to do some repairs with some parking lots this summer, and, you know, one of the ones that was at Wade, I think we just did one of the two sides of the parking lot there. We'd like to have done both, but, you know, working with our budget. But it was, I think, $80,000 to mill and repave just one side of their parking lot.
Wow.
So those are the things that add up, to, you know, as Tom talks about that $20 million to keep all schools. But even at that, as you know, as I referenced Eva Turner, which just went through a $27 million renovation, it got a 73%, and it's, you know, we're 3 or 4 years into after that renovation.
Right, and then even if we spent the 20 million, that would get us to good for that year.
Potentially,
Yeah.
it's not a guarantee.
Potentially, right, it's not a guarantee. Right, yes.
They
Yes.
don't want to showcase any one school system. And that's basically what they, you know, one of the
Understood.
items that they also addressed, that, you know, they don't want anybody to stand out as a favorite or better than anyone else.
Understood. Ms. Brenda, okay, sure. Yes, Ms. Thomas.
I'm just talking about the one particular school, Craig, when the water line bust. Do y'all like get any kind of warnings for like from the pressure or from lack of pressure?
So that was one of the first things we asked Building Service if they had noticed that there had been a drop in the water pressure that day, and they had not. We actually, the Building Service noticed the breach around 4:20. We started to see in the parking lot some water was coming up through some of the cracks right above 6 feet below where the water line runs, but they had not. So that'd be a typical thing we would be looking for if we had a breach, would be a drop in water pressure, but it was something they had not noticed during the school day. And you know, Craig gets out, dismisses at 3:50, and we discovered it was discovered at 4:15. So we did not see that. And it was not a major breach where we had, you know, hundreds of gallons of water pouring. I mean, it was a small breach, but it was something that was obviously noticeable because it was coming up from the water line.
Okay, and when was the last time, Craig, a maintenance schedule was done on them?
So those are the original water lines that run from the well to the school.
One of the things that we have to deal with, we have such a big age difference in our schools. Some of the schools are 60 years old, some of them are, you know, the newest one is 3 months old.
Months old, yeah.
Month old. The newer schools, they all have electronic controls on the energy management side, which also allow us to monitor how much water is flowing at any given time. We also have alarms that if so much water is used or consumed in a certain period of time, it will set off an alarm and it will go through my staff to the appropriate people to draw attention to say, hey, there's something going on. The older schools, unfortunately, we don't have that. We've made that part of our standards on new schools, that all of our newer schools will have this capability. But the older schools, we're trying to work within the budget that we have to try to bring them to today's technology, where we're going in and where we're moving the old pneumatic systems, where somebody would have to actually go out and turn a thermostat to change the temperature of a room, or go out and actually read a meter to see how much water is being consumed. Now we can see probably 60% of our buildings, we can see from a monitor from a computer screen at any given time. And that's our goal. We're trying to modernize. That's where a big portion of our budget, the maintenance budget, goes, is trying to modernize some of these infrastructures within the schools to stay on top of having such problems as this, or where if we do have a problem, we can react to it much faster, much quicker.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Tamisha Thomas, and then we'll move on.
Thanks so much. I'll be very quick. Thank you for the presentation. And you both spoke about some challenges with consistency about reporting and how data is collected from county to county. Is there anything we can do to support making sure that there's more consistency, or anything, you know, Mr. Heim, you see as ways you can advocate to make sure, because I'm pretty sure if your ticketing system is different than Howard County's ticketing system and Anne Arundel's ticketing system and how they're evaluating that may have some significant impact to how you're being evaluated. I don't know if at the state level they're trying to develop some kind of consistent metric across the board and we have any influence or can support that, or if there's something, you know, that we can do to make sure that we are being evaluated in an earnest way, if I can say that.
And that's one of the things that by going to this Brightly system that we've progressed to this past year. That was one of the major steps, trying to get more in line with what and how the direction that they're going in. I also have a tentative meeting with the IEC assessors this fall, to where we're going to go meet them in Baltimore and sit down and go over with them, what their expectations are a little bit more in depth, and try to see how we can, we can add those to our system and try to better our scores.
I think also it goes into, what is actually reported by the local school system. We talk about this with other data that we share, whether it be, testing data, or if it's, we talk about suspension data and that, and there's some inconsistencies around the state. So even though all of the school systems, most school systems are using some type of automated system, it still depends upon what data they input into that system as a comparison.
Yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate us kind of being proactive and leaning forward to make sure that if there's a way we can have consistency so that we're not comparing apples to oranges, but all the same, then that would be good for us as well as for the rest of the school districts. So thank you.
You're welcome. And believe me, I did not work my entire career to be adequate. It's not a goal I've thrived for.
Yeah, we do not like the
I don't think anyone
term.
in this room, has thrived for.
Yeah, I know.
It's
It's not reflective of the
all.
effort at all. Yeah. Well, thank you both. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful presentation. Do we have the recipients here to accept the resolutions?
So I believe they're coming down. They're either sitting, yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
As if not, we can pivot. We see our former board member, Ms. Linda Warren. Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
So stand by. Okay, it looks like they're coming. Okay, so we'll do the two resolutions and then our presentation. All right, welcome. Oh, I love the littles. Welcome.
Hello, hello.
Aw. Yes. Oh, this is a party. Welcome. So first up is the National Hispanic Heritage Month. National Hispanic Heritage Month. Hi, Mr. Pereira. Please join us right up here. That resolution, yes, this is the gentleman. He's the general manager at the Flagship Car Wash. Thank you for accepting. Yes, this Ms. Paul. Yeah.
Good afternoon. To accept the National Hispanic Heritage Month here is Mr. Jose Pereira, General Manager at Flagship Car Wash, and he's also a parent. So Mr. Pereira is a member of the Automotive Professional Advisory Committee at CEDM Educational Center. Mr. Pereira is a key member of our community, providing employment and support to students and parents in Charles County. He's been a manager of a popular local car wash for 13 years. Mr. Pereira is a father and husband of 21 years with 3 beautiful children who are all products of CCPS. Mr. Pereira is from El Salvador and he's been here for 21 years. He has supported many community events and initiatives and was a bronze sponsor for the past few years for a community organization and has supported the NAACP AXO Youth Group.
And is a Be the Difference Award winner.
And
Let
he's
us
a
not
Be the
forget
Difference,
that.
right?
Yes. And if I'm not mistaken, weren't you honorary member at the Steedham induction as well? At the Steedham, when they had the Steedham induction. So you look, you have to lead with that. You're an award winner. All right, our student board member, Ms. Munachio Benali, will read the resolution. Oh, yeah.
Board of Education of Charles County Hispanic Heritage Month, September 15th to October 15th, 2025. Hispanic Heritage Month began as Hispanic Heritage Week in 1968, and in 1988 was expanded by President Ronald Reagan to cover a 30-day period. It was enacted into law on August 17th, 1988, and September 15th to October 15th has been designated as Hispanic Heritage Month in the United States, and the theme for the year 2026 has not yet been announced. The Board of Education recognizes the contributions of our Hispanic students and their families through the history of a rich culture that enhances the experiences for all students. And all educators will engage students in activities and projects that will broaden their perspectives of the contributions of our Hispanic community. The Board of Education of Charles County recognizes its outstanding contributions made by Hispanic and Latino Americans and celebrate their heritage and culture. Now, therefore be it that the Board of Education of Charles County endorses the recognition of September 15th to October 15th, 2025 as Hispanic Heritage Month, and be it further that a copy of this resolution be inserted in the minutes of September 9th, 2025 board meeting.
All right, thank you. All right, congratulations. Thank you for accepting. And stay right there, Mr. Pereira. Ms. Obanali will come to take a picture with you. We'll step back. Yes, and just take the resolution and open it. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay, next up is National Grandparents' Day. Welcome. Oh my gosh. Hi. Hello. Hi. How are you? Oh my goodness, it's so cute.
Okay.
I know, not at all.
In honor of National Grandparents' Day, first we have Ms. Mercedes Naomi Prudencio Dinarte, the grandmother, also a FACE Academy Cohort Spring 2025 at Eva Turner Elementary School. She was born in El Salvador and the mother of 3 daughters and grandmother of 6 grandchildren. She's known as someone who always has advice, a smile, and a word of encouragement for her friends and family. Her favorite saying is, "We must pray for God to guide us." During her time in Waldorf, she has found a beautiful community that entertains her and has given her the opportunity to gain more knowledge, as was the case of the FACE Academy, which she attended with great desire and enthusiasm to learn. And we also have Mishana Grimes, grandmother, FACE Academy Cohort, Spring 2025, Eva Turner Elementary. Ms. Grimes has been Kingston's Code's biggest champion. The moment she learned she was going to be a grandmother, she retired, choosing to devote her time, energy, and heart to his future. Grandma has been there every step of the way. She enrolled Kingston in the Judy Center, introduced him to the magic of the library, where they still go every week, picks him up from school every day. They read together, review schoolwork, and talk about the world. She hasn't missed a single open house, PTO meeting, or a school event. Her commitment isn't just about showing up. It's about showing Kingston what it means to be loved, supported, and believed in. She's the foundation of his village, and we are endlessly grateful for the joy, structure, and unconditional care she brings into his life.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Okay. So our board member, Ms. Daughtery Butler Washington, will read the National Grandparents' Day resolution.
The Board of Education, Charles County, National Grandparents' Day, September the 7th, 2025. Whereas the first Sunday in September after Labor Day has been recognized as National Grandparents' Day since 1978, when it was signed into law by President Jimmy Carter. And whereas Charles County Public School recognized that grandparents are essential members of our families and communities, and the importance of the contribution that grandparents made in the lives of young people. And whereas the impediment of National Grandparent Day originated with efforts of several individuals, including Erin McQuaid, a housewife in Fayette County, West Virginia, whose primary motivation was in educating citizens about the valuable contributions and the senior citizens made, and would make it where they ask and bring light to the lifetime experience that those in the senior communities offers to the younger generation. And whereas National Grandparent Day is a day which school, churches, and senior organizations have honored grandparents and other senior citizens with special events or acknowledgement that will enhance multi-generation interaction and encounter the young people to tap into the wisdom and experience of the grandparents and senior community members. And whereas National Grandparents offers an opportunity for grandparents to spend quality time with their grandchildren, to share the history and lineage of their family, and to build awareness and encourage respect for older generation. And whereas communities should not forget those in nursing homes and may be unable to be with their families or who have no families. Communities and encourages to include those individuals in their lives and to help keep them connected to their communities through cards, community projects, and regular visitation. And whereas CCPS is very fortunate to have many foster grandparents in our communities and providing support to our students, will not only academic, but with sharing their wisdom, experience, and talents with the younger generation. And whereas the Board of Education, Charles County encourages a culture of respect to the elder members of our community and encourage our educators and community to celebrate the significant role that grandparents have in shaping the lives of our students and the future of welcoming grandparents and our elder community members as parents in education now. There be it. Resolved that the Board of Education of Charles County endorse the recognition of September the 7th, 2025 as the National Grandparent Day, and be further resolved that a copy of the resolution will be inserted into the minutes of September the 9th, 2025 board members. By order of the Board of Education, Charles County, this 9th day of September 2025, Dr. Maria Navarro, Superintendent, and Yanel Moore-Lee, Esquire, Chairperson.
She was, because we usually only have one printed. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's no problem. All right. Thank you. Yeah, it's the same. Okay. All right.
That's why I think she gave two.
Two. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you all very much. Next up, if I could invite Miss Linda Warren, former board member from District 4, if you could join us at the podium, please. For those who may not know, Ms. Warren was part of the Board of Education. Many of us ran together, and she unfortunately had to resign. So we reluctantly accepted it. So first, if you'd like to share any words, and then we just want to just do a thank you, and thank you for your service.
Yes, I'll be brief, as you already know. Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, just I was say, there you go. Tilt it up just a little bit.
Can you hear me? Testing,
Yes.
testing.
Check,
Okay.
check.
All right. While this was one of the most challenging decisions I had to make this year, I am humbled to be with you all today one last time. It was a pleasure serving with all of you and learning, growing, and challenging each other to make the best decisions for the staff and students in Charles County. I want to thank the citizens of Charles County, especially those in District 4, for voting for me, giving me the opportunity to serve in this capacity. It is my hope that the next candidate will serve you and your children well. To the students, you are incredible, and it's been a pleasure to serve you. To the school staff, your love for education is evident. You are the true educational leaders. To the central office staff, thank you for your kindness, the kindness that you've shown me, and for all the intricate work that you do. Last but not least, Dr. Navarro, your job is no cakewalk. It's been a pleasure watching you grow as a superintendent and make tough decisions along the way. I pray that you continue to gain vision for the school district, that will produce students that are academically sound, with good character and leadership qualities. Have a great school year, everybody.
Thank you. We're gonna get a picture? Okay. Yeah, well, 1 second. I wanted everyone to, just take a few minutes so we could start here, or do you want to start, no preference? You want to start there? Okay, well, did you want to share something? Just, a few words of thank you. You don't have to, but it's kind of our tradition. Okay, sure. Ms. Butler Washington.
What can I say? This is my ride or die here. I got to know Linda when she was on the trail, and then finding out that she is an eager fan with my husband, Lord.
Go Birds!
And it was on and popping from there, because whoever is an eager fan of my husband, they are life for him. So Lamont brought him on into the Crow. My husband's like, they're a family, they're it. But most of all, I like Linda because she has a caring heart. And she see through all the issues, she see through the mud, the everything to get to a truth. And her bottom line is making sure that every child succeeds. That means even if we have to make this tough decision, to making sure that our kids are put number one. So I want to thank you for listening to me, calling you, and just being a true friend to me. So thank you.
Thank you.
And I hope when you get ready to go to your next place, my hometown, Georgia, that you will be with open arms and be welcome you. So thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Navarro?
Ms. Warren, I just want to thank you for getting into a job you had no idea the level of work and commitment it was going to take. Most board members never do until they're sitting in the chair. And what I would say about you is you deeply spend time thinking about how to better support students, specifically not just their learning, but their well-being. Through you, we are looking at a whole bunch of supports. We are rethinking how we engage more males in our schools. Because of you, I spent a lot of time reading about behavioral health, mental health, and wellness supports. And it is incredible when a member of the community is able to enrich our thinking as a school system, and you have done that. So thank you for serving. Any community that has you and where you find the time to serve it will be enriched as a result of you being part of it. So on behalf of the school system and the staff, thank you so much for giving so much of yourself to serve this community.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'll come back. Vice Chair Kramer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Warren, it was, really great serving with you. I want to thank you for your service. I know we met, like many of us, on the campaign trail early on, probably early in, 2022 or something like that, something around that. And I remember when we first talked one-on-one and you shared your experience as an educator, which I found very insightful. And I think you brought that perspective, to the board and a lot of the decisions and perspectives that you had. And I just appreciated that. And of course, if you know Ms. Warren, you know her love for SEL. So we talked quite a bit about that, about social emotional learning. And I think that you brought that perspective to the board. It was unique and it was something that you were passionate about. And I just appreciated that about you. And like I said, it was a pleasure to serve with you, to meet you as a person, not just as a board member. And I thank you for your service and wish you well in whatever you do in the future.
Thank you. Likewise. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Hancock.
So Linda, this is tough for me. I told you when we got the email that you were resigning, how I seen a lot of myself. You remind me of myself in a lot of ways. I'm kind of quiet, but when I speak, I'm passionate. And you're very strong. You're very passionate when you believe in something, you fight for it, and I respect that tremendously. And I'm going to miss you. Your passion for, as Ms. Washington said, every student. It was always there, and it's been an honor to get to know you. And I wish you best of luck moving forward. And we'll stay in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Likewise.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Smalls.
You already know. Definitely call. I'm gonna blow your phone up. You've been a blessing to me since I came on the board. Open arms, open ears, open heart. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I look forward to what God is going to do.
Thank you.
Ms. Smith.
Hi, Linda.
Hi.
I feel as if I'm not exactly sure what to say. I mean, I know that we're going to have some private words, but I'm very excited for the time that we did have you. I'm excited for the knowledge that you imparted while you were here. I'm excited for how you represented D4 and always thought about the entirety of the county, not just the district you were serving. I think it's already been said in terms of your focus on social emotional learning, health, your past educator experience. You brought a perspective that many of us didn't have, and that added to the fabric of who we are and the decisions that we had to make. Even as we began to change administrations and folks were moving away from SEL, you stayed the course. And you were like, this is something we need to continue to talk about, continue to raise. And I always appreciated that perspective. And so although you step away from us, I know that you will still be involved in something health related and something related to kids.
Oh, yeah.
Because I feel like that's at your core.
Oh, yeah.
And it's always
Absolutely.
been. I think oftentimes as a one-time elected official, people step into this role, not necessarily knowing what to expect and having kind of visions of grandeur in terms of what you're going to be able to do, but quickly realizing how much you have to work with your peers and colleagues to get things done. And I think you noted that from the beginning in terms of how are we thinking about the work, how are we thinking about how we want to serve and show up in Charles County, and how do we get it done? So while I am saddened that I won't have you sitting to my very far right any longer, I am happy for whatever the journey holds for you going forward. I am happy for whatever you step into. I am happy for the students, families, and communities that you will continue to serve in whatever way that you choose to serve, because I know at your core, you are a servant leader. So some way, you're going to step forward and continue to support and serve and be there for others. And I'm just excited for whatever that journey looks like for you. So thank you for the time. Thank you for your dedication to our students and families and our educators. And fair winds and following seas as you go on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Brenda Thomas.
I'm going to miss you. I miss you when we had her get in the middle of us.
Broke the band up.
And she broke us out because we had our little connection when we were looking on and checking stuff out. And you're truly going to be missed. I mean, I didn't know you for long. I didn't run campaign with you, but I know you're a special person. And I know you're going to do a lot out there. And God bless. You know, I am really going to miss you.
Thank you, Ms. Thomas.
Ms. Tamisha Thomas.
Hey, Linda, you just left me down here. I thank you for serving. You know, a lot of people have a passion for children, but they don't know what it means until they get on the board. But in addition to that, I think, you know, you served in this role with a level of respect for the families and children in our community. And I think that was really important for you to bring that to the table as we went to make decisions about what was best. You stated that yourself, right? It was important for to be part of the lives of children and families in our community. And so I really thank you for that. And I know a lot of the parents, and particularly in your district, thank you for giving that level of support and making sure that all children were taken care of. And on your higher education endeavors, I wish you the best as you move forward. And wherever you go, I know that you'll have a bright light to shine and to help people. And so as you do that, keep in touch and let us know how things are going. And I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Ms. Wilbenali.
I didn't get the chance to get to know you as much as every other board member did, but after hearing everybody speak so highly of you, I know that wherever you go, you'll make a great impact, especially since you were previously an educator, as I heard everyone say before you came on the board. I know that you brought a unique perspective that many people can't bring. You have to be extremely passionate to be able to do that. So I just want to commend you on your efforts on the board, because I think that's amazing. And I just want to congratulate you for moving forward and what you're going to do next, and wish you luck.
Thank you so much.
Oh, well said. Well, last but not least, so look, my other half of D4 has left me high and dry. You did your job so well, no one wanted to apply.
I try to encourage people.
I know, right? We're interviewing 2 people next week. Oh, come on, y'all. But I mean, we literally were door knocking. Yes, we were in these campaign streets
yes.
through it all. A lot of late night shenanigans, which you know is my expertise. But all jokes aside, Linda, you keep it real. You know, if you have something to say, you're going to say it, and and however it comes out, it just comes out. That's it. And I appreciate that. You know what I mean? I do, because I'm like that too. So we've seen some lows, you know what I mean? And people have no idea what it is to serve in this role. It's so much more than just these 2 meetings, so much more than these 2 meetings. And I mean, they would never know what you were going through by the way you would show up, by the questions you would ask, by, you know, as Mr. Hancock said, the passion that you would have for the students. I appreciate, as everyone said, that you were an educator, so you know what it is like to do a lot of this work that people are so quick to comment on. And kudos to you for the social emotional piece. Like that, you were one of the first people that I ever heard talk about it. And it challenged me to do my own research and to get a better understanding. And when we started serving, we were technically kind of still in the middle of COVID. And it was such a crucial time to raise that and for people to be aware it's just as important to be mindful of your mental health as is your physical health. As people focus on one or the other, but it's really both. And that leads to a successful student. Thank you for chairing our policy subcommittee, for hanging in there through all the late nights. I mean, yes, you might have sort of been voluntold, but nonetheless.
Yes.
Look, gotcha. But you rolled with it. And, what really stood out to me is that your faith was so important to you, your faith in your family. I know your mom is proud of you. We all miss her dearly. Thank you for your service. And I know it's just as hard to decide to resign as it is candidly to decide to run. So I know what this meant, but thank you. We mean that sincerely. We look forward to keeping in touch, because I know this won't be the last time we see you. So if you could please join us up here, we'll take a few pictures, shake a few hands, kiss a few babies. I know. Listen, I didn't authorize this evil green. I don't know who did that. When I asked Miss Eva, I said, was this intentional? She said, oh, green. Isn't that beautiful? Dr. Yes. Come over this way so we can. Yes. Yes. The Eva had your back. All right. You can still see the whole meeting.
All right, everybody look here. 1, 2. Eyes open.
Okay. Did you get
Yeah, he got his
Yes. If you could join us downstairs shortly, and have a little song. I will wait for you. Oh, look at that. Yeah, it's turning up and everything already. Oh, yes, thank you. Yes. Yes.
Do you want to wait till we break and then?
Yeah.
take the
Can we?
picture?
We're still in the meeting. Yeah. Linda, if you could, the box. Yeah. Thank you. Well, we'll get pictures. Okay. So, well done, cousins. We did excellent on time. We are now on break until 5 p.m. If you could please take us off the air, Kyle. That is a record. Y'all have been showing off lately.
Thank you. All right, good evening. We're going to continue on with our board meeting today. So the next up on the agenda is unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business? We do have, looks like there's additional resolutions, but we already addressed that previously. So is there any other unfinished business? No. All right, seeing none, moving along. Do we have any new business? Anything that needs to be decided on this evening? No. All right, and how about future agenda items? Any future agenda items? Nope. Everybody's quiet tonight. All right, so we'll move on to board correspondence. So where do we want to start? Ms. Bella Washington, you want to start with board correspondence? Or I'm sorry, Ms. Obenelli, would you like to start? Come back to you. Ms. Thomas, you want to start on your end?
Sure, I'm happy to do that. Hello, everybody. So the school year just started, and a couple of things. I serve on the MABE policy committee, and we are working with MABE to try to get them to considering some of the changes that we see going on at the state level for also federal policy. We've been working to determine whether or not there's some new MABE policies for the policy committee that we're going over. Full transparency, they haven't been bringing too many policies, but I am trying to encourage them to bring some more policies that we can act on, because I think now is the time to do some. So I'm working on that. As the chair of the, why is my brain escaping me? Dr. Navarro, help me out. Our committee for strategic planning. Thank you. I don't know why. I kept wanting to say something else. The Strategic Planning Committee, as you know, last meeting I wasn't here, but we voted on what we're going to do. So now Dr. Navarro and I will be working towards taking all of the things that we've been working on for strategic planning and putting that into action as we go through the school year. I know we'll be looking for a lot of input from a variety of stakeholders, and so we will be working on that. So those are my updates from the two committees right now. And I know also on the first day of school, I went to one school, middle school. Why would we go to middle school early in the morning? Middle schoolers, I'm sorry you have to get up so early. But I also went to T.C. Martin and took some pictures with their mascots. I threw out the first baseball pitch at the baseball bash. Very fun with Jonah. Jonah, I had fun with you. Thank you so much for sharing the spotlight with me. And in addition to that, I went to flag football over at Lackey, and I had so much fun. The Ravens came out. I was very excited to see that we're investing in girls in sports. As you know, that's one of my very favorite things to do is invest in girls in sports, and not because I was an athlete, but because I think kids learn so much through sports that can help translate into life, into school, into professional life. So that's my update. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Thomas. Now, Ms. Brenda Thomas.
Okay, for my first day of school, I went to 12 schools. I talked about little things that went on, and the parents were very appreciated. I was out there helping unload the kids at Billingsley. Yeah, they put me to work. And I also went to the baseball bash, and I was also there with the Ravens at the Lackey School and took a lot of pictures. And what was the bird's name? Poe. Poe was funny. Poe was all over the place. Did I do anything else? I don't think I did anything else. I think that was it for my journey.
Thank you, Ms. Thomas. Dr. Smalls?
Okay. The biggest thing was the first day of school, of course, hanging out with Miss Nicole, Madam Vice Chair. It was amazing. Taking pictures, just talking to the teachers and the principal and seeing what that looks like for the first time. So that was great on my first time. Yay! But also going with, help me out here. Miss Bella Washington, yes. She allowed me to hang out with her to see what that was like with the book bag drive. That was amazing, and meeting families and talking to the families and hearing the young adults with their own voice as far as what they wanted to do. So while she was around going to judge, I had the opportunity to talk to some of the families and the students, and it was just an amazing, and they sent me pictures. That was so cool. Spider-Man and all the good people who were there. I even had the chance to buy some of the products that the young people were selling. So that was amazing to hear their pitch. Some of them were hilarious. These young people have a mind that if you just listen to them and their dreams and their goals, they are amazing. So it was just wonderful. I look forward to the upcoming year and seeing all the great things. So.
Thank you, Dr. Smalls. Mr. Hancock?
Sure. Yep. The first day of school was a lot of fun. I went to Picklewaxon and Dr. Higdon. I want to thank Principal Thinstead at Picklewaxon for always providing a lot of time for me when I come there. She showed me all the new renovations there at Picklewaxon. It really looks nice there, and they've set up patterns to try to make one-way walking through the schools because the school has grown, and I think that seems to be working out. So I want to thank her for her hospitality. I went over to Higdon and visited there as well, and they have a new principal there that's very excited. Helped on the bus as the kids got there. They all got a sticker with their bus number. So at the end of the day, hopefully everyone got on the right bus. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody when I was giving them stickers. If they missed their bus, it might have been my fault. But it was a lot of fun, though. I didn't hear any otherwise, so I think everybody, all right, good. That's good. I tried to make sure I got everybody. So that was fun. And I actually was at the baseball bash for like 5 minutes. I saw Sean, and
I saw you.
I had my son with me, and he had some friends, and it was cool. I got there a little late, so I didn't see Miss Thomas throw the pitch out. But it was a beautiful night. It was nice to see everybody, and I just want to wish everyone a very happy and productive and safe school year. I'm really looking forward to seeing how things progress this year. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hancock. Ms. Obanali?
My first day of school was pretty fun. I liked seeing my friends and like talking about my ideas for like this year and seeing that people were actually interested and wanted to engage in the community. So that was really encouraging. There is a lot of homework though, so that's not my favorite, but we persevere through it. And yeah, I wish you guys a really good school year and make sure you keep up with your work because that can get you. But I don't really have much, so that's pretty much it.
Thank you so much. Ms. Butler-Washington?
I wanted to report out on the May Awards Committee. We decided who would be the awardees, and at the next upcoming conference, they would all be announced. So we finally decided on what they were going to do.
Anyone we know, Ms. Butler-Washington?
You know what? They didn't tell us. They said because of something that happened last year that they said they're keeping all the winners up top, but we voted on everybody, so they didn't give us the results to them. So I was like, as long as it's Charles County, we'll be okay. But they didn't say anything. And then I went to the football flag, the girls' football flag team. It was amazing. I couldn't believe it was crowded. It shocked me. I thought I was going to get there and there was going to be nobody there really, but they came out for the girls. Even the students were out. It surprised me. So I hope we continue to have that support for our girls because it's very needed. So we should support on both ends. And then I turned around on that next Friday and I went to the North Point football game. And of course, my granddaughter, Brookie Brooks, says, "Nina, you going to come see me be the pom-pom?" I'm like, "Oh my God, it started again." But we was there to support the football team and her. So that was amazing. That was thousands of people there. It's act like a little college football team there. So it was a lot of people there. And then the financial management committee that I'm the chair of, we have our first meeting on October the 22nd. Didn't we decide a topic that we was going to talk on? Because I know I emailed it out I didn't hear anything back from anybody. Ms. Acton, I sent out a topic, right, for the financial.
You did send out an email, but we didn't really get a consensus on what we wanted to. I'll send it back to everybody.
Okay.
And see where we are.
Okay, all right. Thank you. So that's it for me.
Thank you, Ms. Butler Washington. All right, so I visited a few schools on the first day of school. It's one of my favorite things to do. I love visiting schools. I went to Barry. I went to Mattawoman. My son avoided me at Mattawoman, just so you know. So I'm the typical mom of a teenager. So my son avoids me just like if your kids avoid you as teenagers. I called him and I'm like, I'm at your school, like. Where are you? And he's like, I'm on the bus. I'm like, okay. But it was great. I loved, and I went to Jennifer with Dr. Smalls, and actually Dr. Smalls was with me as well at Mattawoman for dismissal. And I just love seeing all the kids. They're all so excited on the first day. They're all smiling. Just that promise of a new school year. And a lot of them are new to middle school, and, some nervous, some were looking for their buses, things like that. I know Dr. Smalls helped someone that was, one of the students that was looking for their buses. But they had a really smooth process. Some of them were nervous about us being there because they were worried that things were going to go wrong. And we told them, it's okay, we're not here, we're just here to help. Let us know, if we can do anything. But I feel like all the schools that we went to, had a really smooth process for it being the first day of school. They had a way to, of course, there's going to be kids that may not know, what bus they ride or what have you, but they had a really smooth process. So kudos to them for handling those first day blunders very well. I went to the back to school bash as well, something else that I really enjoy. It's always a great time to hang out with staff from both of the unions and their families and all of our families. It's just great. It's a great way to kick off another amazing school year. It's also excited. Last week we welcomed the state superintendent for her second visit in 2 years, which was great. She visited Dr. Craig. And it was just really nice. Principal Deal put on a nice little video to kind of showcase some of the wonderful things happening at Craig. And we got to walk around, and she got to see some of the amazing things happening in the classrooms there, and just highlight the staff, the school, the students. And so I want to thank Dr. Wright for just being so supportive of CCPS. She seemed to genuinely really enjoy herself and have a good time, and we always like having her here. Everybody already heard about flag football. I was at Westlake with Ms. Butler Washington, and Madam Chair was there as well. And like she said, it was packed. So it was really good support for the girls, and I hope, like she said, that continues. It was really a great time to see the band was out and the cheerleaders, and a lot of the staff and students were there, and students from multiple schools came out to support. So I thought, that was really great for opening day. I got to see one of our former CCPS grads, who is now a Ravens cheerleader. She was a North Point graduate, Eve, that she actually went to school and graduated there, I think in 2016. So, she's now a Ravens cheerleader, and she came out back to her hometown. So it was really nice to see her doing well. And there was just support from all of the schools, and I'm so glad to see that flag football has gotten a lot of interest and a lot of visibility, because we have teams from all 7 schools, which I thought was really great. And then I went out to the first football game of the regular season. So Ms. Butler Washington, I was there at North Point as well to see North Point. Unfortunately, not a great game for McDonough, but good game for North Point. But McDonough, don't be discouraged. It's only the first game. The Rams can come back. The season's just beginning, so don't be discouraged. But that was great. It was packed, as always. So it's a good time. So if you get a chance, come out and support, flag football, support regular season football, support soccer, support lacrosse, all of those sports that the kids are playing. There's really some great talent out there on the field, and it's a great time. And a cheap date, if you're looking for something fun to do that's, inexpensive. I also had the opportunity this past weekend to see the all-county musical, The Addams Family. And you guys, that was amazing. Yeah, exactly. Another cheap, great date, great date opportunity. Because these kids are super talented. They're so talented. I mean, you would not know that you were not in, a professional environment, where they seem like they've had a number of years of experience on stage. The sets, the acting, the choreography, I mean, everything, just the timing. You know, you can tell these kids really worked hard this summer. So I really enjoyed that very much. So kudos to everybody who helped put that on. So those are my updates for the evening. Anybody else? I guess we got everybody, right? Look at us, guys. Well, we are going to be on break then now until public forum at 6 p.m. So you all can enjoy another about 40-ish minutes and meet me back here. Kyle, can you take us off the air until 6 p.m.? All right, good evening. Oh, Ms. Mackey, are you doing public? Okay. Ms. Mackey, we were ready for public forum.
Good evening. I'm going to read the rules for public forum. Speakers should identify themselves. Statements should be brief, to the point, and limited to 3 minutes or less. Board members should not be expected to respond during the forum to statements made by speakers. When appropriate, CCPS staff may address the speaker's concerns directly. Statements should relate to Charles County Board of Education agenda items or any education-related topic with the following limitations: personnel matters, pending or potential appeals, or comments regarding the actions or statements of individual staff or the private lives of any individual are not appropriate topics. Proper language and decorum are required at all times. For tonight's public forum, we have 2 in-person speakers signed up. Our first speaker, when I call your name, if you want to come forward to the mic, is Elizabeth Tober.
Good evening, Board,
Good evening.
Vice Chairperson Kramer, Superintendent Navarro, and other board members. Oh, wait, is it on? Okay. I just wanted to say a thank you to Dr. Navarro and Chairperson Morley, who could not be here right now. But the fine arts in Charles County is something that we really haven't prioritized in the past. And over the summer, I had a meeting with Dr. Navarro regarding my program that I founded at La Plata High School, Music Mentors. And recently I found out that the county approved the grant of money that we requested, and now the program will be implemented in every single school in Charles County. So I think that just really shows the dedication to the fine arts that Charles County has put together this year, and from everyone in the program and in fine arts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Elizabeth, what that shows is what an incredible young person you are. And your leadership is what's getting a lot of our kids more access to the arts. So actually, thank you for bringing it forward.
Yes.
Our next speaker this evening is Glenn Bell.
Forgive me, I'm a little bit nervous to speak in front of you all, but
No worries.
I wrote it down so I don't make too many mistakes. So good evening, members of the board.
Good
My name is
evening.
Glenn Bell. First, I want to thank you all for allowing me to speak here today. I watched some of the board meetings online, and it's very clear to me that all of you have a heart and a passion for the students of Charles County, and I do thank you all for that. The reason why I'm here. The reason I'm here today is to talk about the appeal process. I watch how various individuals come up and sit at this table before you all, and I'm sorry, lost my spot, at this table and propose why they believe the board should act on or approve a certain, a concern that they may have. Although the individuals provide what they are proposing in writing, being here and being able to have dialogue face-to-face allows both sides to get a better understanding of the matter presented. When it comes to the appeal process, you are told to write your appeal, wait until you get a response. If you get a denial, you have to write another letter, another appeal, and wait for another response without ever talking to anyone. This process may feel like the appeal gets rubber stamped and just passed along, leaving the parents to feel like they are not afforded the opportunity to advocate for their children. Like some would be able to come and be at this table before you to ask for various items, a playground, a water fountain, or anything. but we don't feel like we are able to, in the appeal process, even speak to a person without concerns. I got off track a little bit. Everything the school board does and decisions it makes are to provide the best for the best interests of the students of Charles County to have success. At the last meeting, a parent spoke and said that we as parents sometimes feel like we're not being heard. I have to agree with that. When you ask to write an appeal and you get something back that states something you did not ask for, you then have to write another appeal. When that appeal gets denied, you have to write another appeal and wait for a response, never getting the opportunity to speak to anyone. I see I wrote that twice. I'm a little nervous. I believe that at some point during the appeal process, that the dialogue between parents, teachers, students, etc., will be helpful to clear up any misunderstandings that come up during the appeal process. I really want to thank you for allowing me to voice my concerns. I hope that this will be something that you might consider in the future so the parents would have the opportunity to be heard in this situation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bell.
That was our final speaker.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, next up, board members, we have action items. And I don't know what minutes there are, Dr. Navarro. Do you know? Only the 12th? Okay, okay. Thank you. Both?
Both, yeah, closed session and.
So closed session and, okay, so first, the executive session minutes for the August 12th board meeting. Do I have a motion? Okay, and is there a second? Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
I was absent, so
Gonna abstain? Okay. Oh, okay, you too, okay. That's right, both of you weren't here. All right, and then the regular meeting minutes from August 12th. Is there a motion?
I move to approve.
Okay, second? All right, and then I'll assume no discussion. All those in favor? You two abstaining as well? Okay. All right, moving on to personnel. Is there a motion?
I move to approve.
Okay, second? All right, by Ms. Thomas. Any discussion? All those in favor? All right. Next, we have Board Policy 5171 on EpiPens. Is there a motion to approve? Motion approved. Second. All right. Any discussion? All those in favor? All right. Next up, National Military Spouse Appreciation Day Resolution. So this we had last meeting. There was a draft posted. Is there a motion to approve? All right, second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? All right, moving right along. National Water Safety Resolution. This was also discussed at the last meeting. Motion to approve? All right, second? Second. All right, any discussion?
I do have one discussion point.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Navarro, if you remember, I think that was graduation. We met with a representative from Prince George's County, I think, and she was looking for some water safety. And I think this one is really important. And I just want to make sure that as we do this, we also think about any curriculum impacts, right? Because water safety is really important for young people who don't know how to swim or don't learn to swim. It can be quite catastrophic. And so I do want to make sure that we also look at some curriculum changes. I think it's in 5th grade. The kids go over to the high school and they learn to swim. I remember my kids taking their clothes. Right.
Yeah.
Something you can jump in the pool with your clothes on. But I do want to make sure that we continue some additional things with water safety because I know at the state level, it's also something that's being looked at.
Yeah.
Okay, absolutely. And this one actually originally came to us from a water safety instructor, or I don't know if I'm saying her title correctly, but she's an instructor at one of the schools and really thought it was important to emphasize. And so obviously, she has a lot of allies in that, including this board. So any other discussion? All right, all those in favor? All right. Next up, the CIP plan. This was presented, I believe, last meeting as well.
I move to approve.
All right, second? Ms. Thomas? You second it? Okay. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor? Okie dokie. And we have intercategory budget transfer request. That was from earlier today from Ms. Acton. Motion? All right, Mr. Hancock, second. Second by Ms. Butler-Washington. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor? All right, and, all right, second? Second. Everybody, I assume no discussion. All those in favor? All right. And we are adjourned. Kyle, please take us off the air.